order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Boss,
Present.
Pipia,
Here.
Graham,
Yes.
Hughes,
Present.
Fry,
Present.
Schroller,
Here.
Schramm,
Present.
Barnes.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Great, thank you all for being here. The first item is the approval of minutes from June 24. Does anyone have any changes or amendments? All right. I would entertain a motion to approve as
Approve the
presented.
minutes from the regular meeting, June 24th, 2019.
Second it.
Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 8-0. The next item is public comments. If you are not on the agenda, you're welcome to come to the podium, give your name, your address, and your ward. All right, we'll move on to business and discussion items. The first one up is Ellen Barber.
Good evening. Over the last few decades, there's been a question about whether small towns should recruit businesses or grow their own businesses. Which one's best? And research has shown that we should concentrate on growing our own businesses in small towns because they actually grow faster, they hire more people, and they're loyal to the community. I recently read a reminder that entrepreneurs need help in a lot of ways, but sometimes they need help with infrastructure. And so if we want business to grow in Marysville, when they need an infrastructure, that's when we need to step up and give them that support. We have that opportunity right now. The map that you have that was put in your packet is the P4G land that we would like to offer free to a business that would like to expand.
We didn't get no maps.
Oh, it wasn't in?
There was no
There
maps.
was no map included in there.
It wasn't attached. I'm sorry, somehow I didn't get that on there. Found it and everything, but sometimes you might forget to attach. It's the same one that I had last time. So it's the basic map that shows the pre-plat of the idea of those basically 5 acres. It's right behind Caniquet. So we've offered free land to this company if they would go ahead and pay some of the infrastructure. And they said they would be very interested in bringing in and expanding 2 businesses into Marysville if the city was also willing to help with infrastructure as well. They're also open to the community improvement district type of thing, which is the city might pay up front for some infrastructure, but then over the years they would pay that money back. So I know that while not everybody's in favor of that, this group have said that they could possibly be in favor of that. Nick Stoll, our president, who's here tonight, and I visited with Austin and Dave to consider what kind of costs that might be to bring infrastructure to that site. I was relieved to find out that the water and the sewer would probably be around $80,000. This was much less than I had seen before. That would be if we took it up along 11th Terrace, right along the road there, it'd be around that much. And it'd be even cheaper if we went through Caniquet's property and had an easement along the side. However, Dave told me that the city is also considering having a business park out by the airport, right along North Street again, and that would be discussed tonight. So I think it's a great idea to develop that land, but I wanted to share some concerns that I had about the purpose of the land. First of all, our client does not want to be in a residential area, but out on the highway, and they were very firm on that. So I've thought a lot about putting light industrial across from North Street, which is already fully residential, and all the streets that lead up to North Street are also residential. The Landau traffic is already very significant. I lived on the corner of North and 12th for 12 years, and I can say that there is constant traffic, even that far away from the plants. The idea we need to grab hold of tonight, I'm hoping, is that there's a law of unintended consequences. Landau bought that empty nursing home building when it was empty, and that seemed like a really great idea. However, no one guessed that in 20, 30 years, it would become another 4 to 5 massive warehouses in the future. And it would cover blocks of residential area, bringing in all that traffic from 600 to 1,000 employees at a time. So if we make another situation where if we have 20 to 30 sites for more industry in a residential area, we're setting up for more traffic in that residential area. 11th Road and 20th Streets and North Street, all are residential. We don't know what those businesses will grow into. Maybe we'll get another Landau businessman or woman that grow like crazy. But even if we look at this really conservatively and say maybe that doesn't happen, here's my concern. Here's a scenario. We think of a business just as a business. We forget that they can grow like Landau's and hire employees. Or they can be like retail and sell products that other people have to come into that area to take back home. We're an ag county. If a fertilizer, nitrogen, or seed company wants to come into that park, we might say, oh, that's great. But they also retail that product. Say they have 200 yearly customers. That's 200 farmers in trucks and trailers driving into a residential area 4 to 5 times a year to get their product. That means 1,000 more trips down our residential roads when you add that up. Now just think if only half of those industrial places were retail. Let's just do the math. Take 10 businesses times 1,000 more trips, and you get 10,000 more cars in our residential area. So we don't know what we're asking for when we bring in more business to a residential area. I believe that residential works best out on the highway. And as a city group, I would hope and think that you would probably want to protect our residential area. But what I'm really excited about is that you want to think about developing the city land. Because I do feel that Marysville does need senior housing. North Street is well suited for that. It would be perfect for a zero entry level, ADA-based housing for independent senior living that's just a couple of blocks from the Country Place Assisted Care Living. And it's just blocks from the hospital, and it's just a mile from the grocery store. Of course, we're going to need probably a sight and sound buffer with the Landau property, but I don't think that would be very hard to do. Now, last year, there was a developer that was really interested in coming into Marysville and looking at senior housing, where to put it. So I called Mayor Grund and I said, would you like to be in on this and advise me on what other properties might be available? And she suggested Country Place. So we went out there and he looked at the property and he said, I would love to have senior housing by Country Place because it's so close to everything that these people would need. And both sides of that property were privately owned. So he could not get any movement. And we kind of had to start looking over at Keystone. But I didn't realize then that the city was thinking about developing the North Street property. So it just came to me recently that, hey, what if you looked at that for housing? And especially for this new housing study that's being done this summer that's going to probably come up with what I'm thinking is that we need senior housing, because I've seen it over and over from different people saying that. Most of our county is top-heavy with baby boomers, and I think we all know that. 80% of our county's wealth is tied up into our baby boomers. That means if we don't have good senior living, independent living, they need to go look for it somewhere else. They're going to leave Marysville, or they'll leave this area, and their wealth goes with them. And that's going to really hurt everybody. So whatever town builds senior housing first and has enough, they're going to have the advantage. I'm going to need to leave to go to another council meeting tonight, so I won't be here for input, but Nick was also at that meeting that we talked with Austin and Dave, and so he's here to talk with you about how you might partner with us to bring infrastructure to this property that we're talking about that P4G is offering these two businesses. Basically, it's two businesses that would come in and share that first acre, and they'd probably build a 40 by 80 type of warehouse, and they'd put a nice office front on the front of that building. So it would look very pleasant. The big thing about entrepreneurs is they have a mindset, they like to move quickly. They don't like to sit around and wait for 6 months to see if a city council is going to allow them to move. So I would just like to encourage you to think about how we could all work together, how P4G giving them this property, how the city in a way that would support them, and how they can give some money to come together to actually start this industrial park in an area that's out by the highway, in a place that we have some interested people looking at it.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you.
I did ask Austin to work up the numbers too, because we had asked him that at the last meeting, if he would work up what he believed the cost would be for us. So do you want to go ahead and share yours?
After going back and forth a little bit with Tony Deaver at CES and using past projects for water and discussing how a road could go in, I figured the numbers were pretty different from what we had figured before, with a deeper understanding of what was going on. For water, I estimate about $70,000 to $80,000 to get it just for the land that they own right now.
That's from the fire hydrant that's currently there.
From the fire hydrant by Canaquip,
Yep.
up north,
Up to where
going
the-
north and making a turn for the property that
Okay.
is currently owned by P4G. The road, from my understanding, they were looking possibly at a gravel road. Did some estimation on how much that would cost, and I did a 26-foot wide road, just to put it out there. $10,000 in rock, plus labor, so I estimate about $25,000 project. That's a gravel road. For sewer, this is where I talked to Tony on it. He gave me an estimate per foot on some of his previous bids that he's seen, and it's about $50 to $60 per foot for gravity for sewer. And he told me he'd already done some workup to see how to get the sewer up there, and following 11th Terrace, you can maybe gravity feed up and over to the first lot, and that would probably cost about $45,000 to $50,000. That's just getting gravity feed to the first lot. There would need to be a lift station, according to how he was trying to design the sewer. If the sewer needed to go any further than around that first lot.
So it can gravity feed down
Yes.
on the first lot that they want to
Yeah,
build.
down 11th Terrace, yes.
So all that is about $140,000.
Mhm.
So at this point in time, we'd be guaranteed one building, right? And are they going to ask for a neighborhood revitalization, Ellen, probably?
I would say so.
Yeah, so that means 60% for 4 years, which I'm sorry, 3 years, but it's just, a short-term thing. It will be valued as commercial property, right?
Right.
So, which is good.
And
I think we can look at-
do we know if it would bring any sales tax into town or new employees? Is it a current business already in the area?
Ellen, do they anticipate new employees?
And
Yes.
it's a current business in the
Well,
area?
they have several employees, I would say.
Ellen, will you want to come back up here for a
7
minute?
employees now.
You want to come back up to the podium, or do you need to leave right away?
I got a few minutes. I would say they have 7 to 8 employees now, and if they can expand further, they can hire.
Will it bring any sales tax
I would
into the city?
say so, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Depends on what they're selling.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it's
Not
but
necessarily.
It's significant. It's significant.
You mentioned ag, and a lot of times ag will not bring any sales tax.
Oh, this one is not an ag. I was using that one as an example, as people who might come in as retail.
So, if I remember correctly, and I don't know who else was on council with me, but when we did that subway, by the time we added all the pieces together, it was about $170,000 that we contributed to that business. I'm glad they don't want a concrete street. The fact that we can do gravel is significantly reduces the cost to us. The potential, once we get water and sewer there, obviously, the next lots will benefit from it as well. I think we need to encourage new business, and if they have a spot that will work, I mean, we would make an investment of about $140,000.
You already own the property, correct, Ellen?
Yes, sir, we do.
And so they're gonna donate that 1 acre to the business, that's their contribution. I mean, we can do some assessments if you want, I just wanted to throw out what we did with Subway. We kinda did Subway piecemeal. Who was on council with me? Nick, Todd, you were, right? So we did one thing, and then about a month later, then they added another thing. And about the third time, I said, okay, is this the last one? So I think it came between 140 and 170,000. I can't remember what the number was. But anyway, if it's already somebody who is here, if we don't offer them the property, if it doesn't make it economical, they will go somewhere else, right?
Correct.
So, it's just
But
what,
also, what are they going to do for the city? We have to look at that, too.
And they're willing to have that discussion, and they're actually going to meet very soon with.
I can't hear you.
They're willing to have that discussion, and they're going to be meeting soon to say what they're willing to do. They wanted to know if the city was open and willing to help, and if the city was, they want to meet and talk about what they will be willing to do as well.
okay, well, I think, at this point in time, what do you want from us? You want us just to say,
If
we're willing to have that conversation about what the cost will be, and to see what they want to do? I mean, I think that, are you thinking about assessments, Darlene?
Well, I think that would be fair.
On the industrial park, Cindy, down there, we didn't assess anything, did we? We put the water, sewer, and street in, didn't we? And then
But
somehow they became their property after a certain amount of
after a
time.
certain number of
10
years, they
years.
had to be in there that many years,
But
yes.
do you remember what?
They had to put in their own electric, they had to bring in their own gas line, they had to bring in,
We run the water and sewer, but they had a gravel street there for many years
yeah,
before
they
we
didn't.
finally went down.
Yeah, we didn't go down and do the street right away.
Right away.
And I can't remember with the water sewer if that was already close by.
That was
I mean,
close.
here you're doing one, you're saying one can gravity feed, but every other property needs a lift station, so, I mean, you'd have to design that right
Is there any
away.
chance to run that around from that property back, drop it back behind, like where Pizza Hut and that is, to gravity bring it around that way?
There's a ditch, Tony said he looked into feeding it all the way to Hall Brothers,
Okay.
but there's a ditch between Walmart and that
Okay.
property that
I was just curious,
prohibited it, yeah.
that's
He tried to
kinda
do
high
it
up there.
a couple different ways. One of the drawings that I saw that was put together, if they own the whole planned property that they were looking at, let's say this square is the property, they had a lift station up in the northeast to serve the whole thing,
Right,
and send it to the gravity.
okay.
So that's what I was seeing.
So they have 5 acres, this would be a fifth of the property, it'd be a good start. Yes, Diane?
Well, what's the chance of adding on to the industrial park we already have and buying like Growers or across the road of Peaks if it was for sale and adding on to it?
Well, it's a possibility, I guess, from the standpoint of this specific business, they are ready to build now.
Well,
So you take that risk anytime you don't act somewhat quickly, that you lose the opportunity to
but I mean,
have the
we could
business in
ask
town.
if it was for sale, and it wouldn't be.
Well, that would be a long project, though, having the discussions about the property, and the fact that we'd have to put infrastructure in there as well.
Well, I
And
understand.
here, they'd actually allow us to do gravel. At this point in time, I think we need to have the discussion to say what they want from us, give them the numbers we say that they're gonna cost, have the
Madam Mayor?
discussions, yes.
I have one question. We did Keystone there and wound up with a lot of property that's not selling. If they got more property and we're going for one person that's out there, what's to keep that from happening there if all of a sudden the owners of the rest of the property decide to balloon the price and nobody ever moves in? And
Well, I
we only put one place, we only take care of one place out there.
I know, but you have to determine whether even if that should happen, that's a worst-case scenario, if financially it's worth doing. And that would be based on our discussions with them and see what they're willing to help with. But, our worst-case scenario right now is we put it all in for one business. So we'd have to figure out what our cost-benefit analysis is, to figure out how many employees they're gonna bring in, what their property taxes are gonna be, and kind of do an estimate of what it looks like for the city overall.
And technically, it is two businesses. Two businesses will be on that 1 acre.
I understand that. On the other hand, what we're gonna do for them, I think it'd be nice to know what they're gonna do for us first outside of this, giving the lot or whatever
What they're
with the
bringing
other
to us as a
property.
business. What they're bringing to us as a business.
And they have talked about doing the curbing and guttering themselves, which if you do a gravel road there, it would look much nicer if it had, a boundary and had some curbing and guttering and made sure that the water ran off the rock right. So there's some options there, but they just wanna talk about it,
Yeah, that's
and we'll bring it back to you and see if this works for this council and if it seems fair. I just wanna say that if they get into that property, there is some other opportunities for other people to get in as well. So it's not just this one group, there's other people interested.
Well, I think we'll have further discussions with them, try to have those discussions, try to do that cost-benefit analysis. So at this point in time, we would just like to continue the conversation. I know you want us to act quickly on it, and I think we can bring it back to the council and have that discussion in the next 2 weeks.
Okay, that'd be great.
Okay. Is that all right with everyone? Consensus of council? Yeah, okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks,
Okay,
Alan.
so will you communicate to them what the numbers were that Austin came up with, so they know that number
Yes,
was what?
thank you. And these obviously has changed since I was in his office, so I'm glad to know what the updated is.
And I think their map is right there. I think it's an attachment. Okay, we'll move on. We found your map. All right, the next item is the gravel dash and the half marathon.
Mark Hoffman with the Gravel Dash, and Brenda's with the Half Marathon. We're partnering this year to have two events in one. Did you guys get the map?
We did get a map. Thank you.
And so the Saturday, September 7th, the bike race will start at 7:30, and the half marathon will start a half hour later. And then the second run is
5K at 8:15.
8:15. So we're looking at the same areas before, the 7th Street, or 7th and Broadway, right south of the bronze sculpture, to have the start-finish line, and we're looking to block off the entire 600 block of Broadway. The bikes will take off from 7th Street, go west, and the runners will also do the same. And then they'll be returning from the west also. So we're really not we just showed like half of the 700 block of Broadway. We just need a place for the riders and runners to come in and, slow down up the finish line, so.
So the bikers are going out the west as well?
Yeah, bikers, runners.
But you're not
both
going to
west.
cross, the highway, or you are too as
Well,
well?
the runners will cross at 6th Street.
Runners will cross at 6th Street.
The bikes will need to get on the highway to 6th Street and go west.
Oh, okay, okay.
On the highway, over the overpass and turn south on West River Road. Now, I did fail to put on the letter that I submitted that police escort, and
Yeah, that's what I
I'll need to add that if you want me to submit that later.
Okay, so
Brenda did have
we'll
that
just
on.
add that on, yeah. So you need the police there at, what time do you need them there? At 7:15 or so?
Yeah, 7:15 will be fine to lead the bikes out, and we need to block 6th and Highway 36, and then have the police go on out. I believe in the past, they went all the way over the bridge and kind of blocked the traffic as the bikes went south on West River Road.
Oh, okay.
And then the run,
Yeah, for the run, we would just need them to block the highway as they run across the highway on 6th Street, and then we'll have volunteers at the next 2 corners until they get them on the Blue River Rail Trail,
Okay.
to kind of watch for traffic there.
and as far as when everybody comes back to town, the runners will be coming under the overpass.
Yeah, I saw that, and the
back up
bikers will
Broadway,
be,
So they won't even have to deal with highway. Bikers will be coming back over the overpass and get on Broadway at CJ intersection there, so.
so you're not
we
worried
don't
about
need any
crossing?
police activity in the afternoon,
Okay.
at all, just at the starting time.
You think that's okay, Austin, with PD?
As far as blocking stuff off, if it's
From 7:15.
just while they're doing stuff, that's how I figured, like a crossing guard.
He said
Yeah.
he said at 7:15 plus over the bridge till they help get them over the bridge, right?
Yeah, we'd
On
actually
the
start at
takeoff.
7:30,
So
And then
they'd be
the-
just following the police vehicle.
yeah.
Right.
And once
And-
all the bikes are cleared, and we're done as far as the police for the
Probably what?
bicycle.
Till the 8,
Not
till the
even
run
10
comes.
minutes.
10
total.
minutes, Yeah,
Yeah.
and then, at 8 o'clock or a little bit
8
before.
o'clock and 8:15, they just have to watch, stop the traffic on 6th Street on the highway till all the runners were crossed.
It'd be a group.
You okay with
Yeah,
that?
they'll all be in a group, yeah.
That's better than putting barricades up.
Yeah.
Okay. And the only thing, I know we've always had problems with our sound system. You have somebody who's qualified to work the sound system? We've had so much problems with it in the past.
We've kind of been possibly going to have a DJ. We haven't decided that for sure yet, or use the sound system, so.
Okay,
Really
just,
decided on that
who, don't we have problems with the sound system consistently?
Kind of had it all straightened out a couple
Do we,
years ago, but
and then yeah,
I don't know what's happened to it since then.
so do
Depends
we
on
just
who-
train
Greg,
Is it working all
somebody?
right?
We don't even have somebody on staff that knows, is an expert. We do
So-
what we can.
So just as long as you have somebody come in and talk to Austin, or who would they talk to? To make sure they understand before the event?
Well, I mean, it's either, it would be me.
It'd be you or Michelle. Just
Well,
make sure that who's ever gonna be, if you're gonna use the sound system, just touch base so that it works the next time we turn it on. Just because we've had problems.
Test it out a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. That was my only concern about either one. Did you guys have any questions about either of these requests? I'm glad you're doing it. I'm glad you're adding that running activity. I'm sure the father will be running. I'll take pictures. I won't run with you. So.
Our idea with adding the run is, when the bikes take off, there's nothing going on for 3 or 4 hours, so now we have the bike. for the
That's really- it's a
runners,
great idea.
Fill that time frame, keep people downtown, keep activity going on.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Oh, I just thought of a question, Mayor. The farmer's market, where we got that situated.
I talked to Brian Froggle, and he said they've already moved to the swimming pool parking lot for that
Okay,
weekend.
so they
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, they know. And he's planned that. I think he's done that the last couple of years, as far as I know.
Okay.
We did have on there to make the showers available at the aquatic center. Is that
I think
possible?
we talked about that with Kathy last.
2 weeks.
We were wondering who was going to clean them.
I thought she had requested that the pool actually be open.
She
for-
said, well,
If there was.
if staffing
availability.
available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Last,
Bob did talk, I guess, to have the pool open possibly.
he went and asked, but there was no decision. Like, we have to have staff available. And the question is, because I think in the years past, there's always been beer cans and all the stuff left in the showers. So
From the gravel dash?
yes.
How come that hasn't been brought to our attention in the past.
I don't,
That's been an
I
issue.
just heard from Kathy because she cleaned them last year.
Was-
Yeah.
I'm not saying it did or didn't happen, but that's the kind of thing that'd be good to know.
Yeah.
Well, you could
Time.
put something in your little sign-up sheet to
Yeah.
please clean up after
Yeah,
yourself.
take your trash with you.
Yeah.
Right.
Is that basically what the problem was?
That was the problem, but we had hired Kathy to keep the pool clean, and she had said she could clean last year, but, like I said, we were talking about if we could have staff available, it would be available that weekend.
So we don't know that
But we
yet.
don't know about staff, yeah.
I don't know what happened last year, but I know several years before that, there was, some of them, I think Ricky Bikeman was one of them, had volunteered, that maybe Maria, they had volunteered just to man it and take care of everything.
You guys wouldn't have any volunteers on hand? That would, I'm just putting it out there.
Possible.
Yeah.
And would they know what needs to be done, I guess, the big thing.
You gonna be around that day, Austin?
I don't know, it's a couple of months in advance, yeah. But, no, that's what Kathy had just told me after we had that discussion last time, that, yeah, there were some cans and stuff
They,
left behind.
they can put a note on there to their participants, but, we'll just have to hire Kathy to clean, right? Kathy didn't think she'd be available to clean?
Well, was trying to find people to be there.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully, right?
Yep.
You'll let them know if there's going to be a problem? Or when you will know that there's a problem?
With the unpredictability of the employees that we inherently have, it's a challenge to know if we have employees to stay that long.
Why don't you check with Kathy and let them know for sure, one way or the other? Is that all right?
Sure.
Okay,
The restrooms would still be available at the Main Street building.
yes. Okay,
The only other thing we requested, that we can put some signage around along our route,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
just to keep them on the right route so they don't get lost.
I think that's a really good idea. All right, anybody want to make a motion? To
Move
approve
to
the-
approve the request for the gravel dash and the marathon.
adding the PD for the gravel dash? Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There you go. It'll be a great event. Thanks for organizing it.
Thank you.
Thank you for the signage on 7th Street up to the trail.
Yeah, it looks
We
nice.
appreciate that.
Thanks, Bert.
All right, Wayne, you're up.
Good evening, Wayne Cruzy, President of the Marshall County Arts Cooperative.
Great event on 4th of July.
I was going to say thank you for the role that the city played in helping us make the airport look so beautiful. Austin and the crew did so much behind the scenes, so we really appreciate that, and I saw many of you there. And a special congratulations to Councilwoman Schroeder on her new title that she gets.
Strawberry pie runner-up.
Oh, were you a strawberry pie? That's a popular question. Was that what you made?
Yes.
All right, that's great. Well,
I asked her, I'm still trying to find who made that blueberry crisp. Did you find that out? I had the
We
most
have not
delicious
found that
blueberry
out.
crisp.
So those are popular questions. So thank you. I'm glad so many of you got to enjoy the great event with us. Today I'm here to talk to you about Squirrel Jam, which is coming up on Sunday, August 18th, from 3 to 7 in the city park, right around the bandstand. We feel there's a natural area there, you have the bandstand.
And you have
the grass
shade.
around there, and there's shade, and Eve is there. So we'd like to block that area off and have the event there, and that's where people will be allowed to bring their drinks, be they alcoholic drinks or non-alcoholic drinks. The one thing I forgot to mention in my request to you is that in case it rains, we'd like to have this moved to the Art Center. Last year it rained, and we didn't have a backup location, and people weren't happy with us because they were so excited about it. So in case of rain, we like to go to the Art Center.
That's a good idea. Be prepared.
Be prepared. Lesson learned.
All right. Well, I think it's great. You're doing another event at the park, hopefully.
Yes.
So show off our local talent.
Move to approve the request.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? There you go.
Right.
Thanks again for all you
You
do.
may want to update your inquiry for your waiver there to include Art Center too, Wayne.
Yes. Just bring a new one, Cindy?
Just as an alternate location, so.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, thanks, everyone.
Thank you. All right, Greg Boss, you're up. Oh, I forgot to ask them, the Gravel Dash people to make, you're gonna do what you're saying won't conflict with the Gravel Dash. Okay, you know that already.
That's the reason I picked the date.
Okay, all right.
I'm Greg Boss, 1010 Oto, Marysville, Kansas, Ward 2. Here, this crazy idiot from Davenport, Iowa, has come up with the idea again to have another Boss Nationals here in Marysville, Kansas. And I think it was quite a success last time. Tickled to death. It won't, if we pass this and we do this, it will not be in front of Boss Motors. For the first time in 81 years, there's not a building in town that has Boss Motors on it. So
You'll have to put a
anyway,
big sign somewhere.
Excuse me?
Just put Boss sign somewhere.
Well,
They'll be putting a Boss
We'll
sign.
arrange something, yeah, there'll be plenty of Boss Mustangs. But anyway, I got with Michelle Weitzel. Rick asked me some good dates. As we all know, here in Kansas, June, July, May, June, July are not really good because it's really hot. August is pretty hot too. September, we sure didn't want to conflict with the Gravel Dash again. I personally don't ever feel that it's good to have it on a big weekend like Labor Day weekend. So Michelle and I got together. I gave Rick from Davenport several different dates, and he has come up with August 8th, or August 28th, 29th, and 30th of 2020. And I guess I'm here to request that we maybe have another Boss Nationals here in Marysville, Kansas. Bring several hundred people, maybe even 1,000 people to Marysville. Lori Parks is doing cartwheels. She said, my God, she said, Greg, I've never had such a big weekend, you know. And so
It was a great event.
I think the gas stations, I think everybody in town. Have I ever shared the one story with you from the guy from Los Angeles? I'd like to just share this with you. He called me a couple days after the show, and he said, so you had something to do with the show? And I said, yes. And he said, have you got a couple of minutes to talk? And I said, I sure do. And he said, I'm from Los Angeles. I've never left the city. I've lived here all my life. And he said, I've got a Boss 429 Mustang, which is a $300,000 car. He said, I signed up to have it brought out here to consider bringing it out here to Marysville, Kansas. And I got to thinking, why would I bring a $300,000 car, however many, couple thousand miles, to a town of 3,000 people that might have 10 cars show up? And he said, I didn't do that. And he said, but I did keep my room. And he said, I did keep my flying ticket. And he said, on the way to Kansas City, to the airport, or to Los Angeles, to the airport, I almost turned around. I thought, are you kidding me? Why am I coming out to this town of Mayberry, Kansas, in the middle of nowhere? But he said, I decided to do it. He said, I landed in Kansas City. And he said, I then drove to Topeka, spent the night there, came up to Marysville. I took Highway 99. He says hills and cows and ponds and wheat and corn. He says, I've never seen anything like that. And I said, so that's your complaint? And he says, no, my complaint is I'm still smiling. He says, my face hurt smiling so long. He says, your town rolled out the red carpet. He says, no, you didn't roll out the red carpet, you rolled out the red brick streets. He says, Lori Parks at the wagon wheel. He said, don't you have cops in that town? He says, I spent the whole week and I never saw a cop. And I said, well, I'm kind of friends with a couple of cops, and they asked me if they could go plain clothes so they're not intimidating you out-of-town people. He said, Greg, this was remarkable. He says, it was the most fantastic thing I've ever seen. He says, when I retire, I'm liable to move to Marysville, Kansas.
Oh, there you go.
Honest to God, you guys.
Is he bringing his car? This time?
He didn't bring his car, but I'll bet you if we have this one next year, he will.
That's right.
I'm just requesting the 28th, 29th, 30th to do like we did last time. Again, it won't be in front of Boss Motors. I won't have the indoor building to store the cars and stuff, to clean up the cars, but to block off from probably about halfway up to El Ranchero to 10th Street, down the 7th Street corridor some. We don't need any of the other side streets, I don't believe, so
Okay.
probably the 7th Street corridor for the vendors and for the swap meet cars. And hopefully it pulls off and goes again. We'll do it again.
Yeah, I think that's great. I
Hope I'm allowed to do it.
I appreciate you doing it.
Yeah, thank you.
So just want to make a motion to approve blocking it off so we know that weekend's taken. Have you checked with chamber office and everything to put it on the calendar, early
Well, I
on?
obviously will, but just,
Okay.
I had no idea that's when the gravel dice was last time when I requested this. But believe this or not, folks, they're already calling the motels getting ready.
Nice.
It's crazy.
That's great. That's
You
great.
know, so If any of you are on Facebook, go to Boss National 2018 on Facebook. You'll see the comments already. It's nuts. I can't wait to do it. And again, can't wait. It's crazy.
You got 14 months to plan it, Greg.
Right. I hope I'm still alive.
Me too. We'd all be disappointed, so. All right, you guys want to?
Move to approve Boss National 2020, August 28th, 29th, and 30th from 7th Street to 10th Street, or 6th Street, 5th Street.
5th Street.
5th Street,
Yeah.
5th Street to 10th Street.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
And is there any further discussions or questions to Greg? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 8-0. Thanks,
You're on,
Greg.
Thank you very much, folks.
Thank you.
Mayor, many people talked to me that, the day of the event, and were so impressed with the brick streets.
Hey, we'll have a new hump.
Yeah, it'll be
Or a
done.
lack of one.
Well, we'll still have a
By
slight,
the way, I'm sorry to come back, but I sure hope is the hump on 7th Street going to be either before or after this, I hope.
it'll be this year.
This year.
I don't need road
They scheduled
construction
the bid
in the middle of
next
all
year.
stations.
We
The
don't get
the timeline is,
is starting, the bid is for next spring?
yeah,
We'll have it done by August.
we're hoping.
Of next year.
Yeah, it's a
And by the
smaller
way-
project, yeah.
Please, when they do the hump, will you consider putting some conduit?
We've
Yes.
already considered that.
Fantastic.
Yeah, Dave and I had that discussion
To get this speaker.
for the
aware.
speaker, yeah. And Dennis Mason brought it up and he goes, don't do that without putting that conduit.
Right, please do that. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, next is Dave Richardson with the Kramer Well.
If you want to wait for Kevin, we can do the other first.
Oh, you still expect him to come?
Yeah, he was just going to attend his boys' ball game first, so.
Okay,
He's
so
not here for now.
do you want to talk about the industrial site? You can do that part without him, or do you not want to?
Well, that's what we both going to do too, so.
Oh, okay. You want us to go ahead and then we'll come back?
If you like.
Okay.
He's in here, I'll do it.
Okay,
No problem.
so we'll jump to 29. And it's the ordinance changing it from pit bull to vicious dog. Actually, the vicious animals
Taking it from
in 228, well, the 2-215 will now be the enforcement vehicle, right?
Yeah.
Because that's
Yeah.
where it says vicious animals. And then this should be 2011, right?
Well, it's that code. Well, that's the code I pulled it from. That's what it said in that ordinance, yes. But if
It's
we
2011
It's the
code, right?
2011 code.
Yeah, so that's the only change I had in there.
Yeah, all
So they
we're doing is
basically, they pulled number C out.
we just eliminated the words pit, with pit bulls.
Pit bull.
Yeah, and this is exactly prohibited animals in our city. That's all. We just eliminated prohibited
Pit bulls.
pit bulls.
So we don't have anything now about.
No, that's
vicious
vicious dogs. That's in a different part
That's
of the
two-
ordinance. That's vicious.
2-215.
Yes.
So vicious,
Okay.
vicious
It's not in
animals
this one.
will
Yes.
be the enforcement vehicle for the
For
police
any animal
department.
that's vicious.
And it won't be
Rather it
pit
be,
bull specific.
Just straight across the board.
yes.
Right.
Whether it's a rat terrier or a pit bull or a
Yeah.
Yeah, Cocker Spaniel.
cocker spaniel.
Maltese.
So the only change of this ordinance as it's drafted is just, it should say the 2011 code rather than 1987.
Yep.
You guys have any other changes to that? No. Yeah, motion, I need a motion.
Move to, go ahead, Todd.
Move to approve ordinance number 1876 to repeal the pit bull part of the ordinance.
And make the one change.
With, yes, as amended.
Is there a second? Did you say second? Okay. Is there any discussion? Roll call?
Boss,
Yes.
Pipia,
Yes.
Graham,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
Fry,
Yes.
Schroller,
Yes.
Thrum,
Yes.
Barnes.
Yes.
8-0.
All right. The next one is ordinance 1877. Austin, did you draft this up? Is this your work?
It's,
Craig's.
Craig? So I was trying to figure out, you had pink and then you had yellow.
Well, it's actually a combination.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I
My stuff's
started
the
it.
pink.
You what?
My stuff's the pink. My
Okay.
head's in the
But the yellow still needs to be in there too, correct?
correct.
So you're
Okay.
adding the pink. The pink was yours and then we're adding the yellow.
I think, well, tell me if I'm wrong, Cindy, but the yellow could be just ignored or treated as if it's not there.
Yeah.
Don't
The
pay
hi-
attention
Don't
to
pay
the
attention to
yellow.
the highlight.
I think what that was a change.
we changed it to public
From the
officer as opposed to,
Existing ordinance.
Governing
Correct.
body.
right, it used to say governing body, and there it said, now it says public officer. That's that change. Then Craig went through and fixed all the other words.
My changes are what's in pink on
Right.
top of the yellow.
Right, and the yellow was changing it from governing body to public officer everywhere it said that.
So when I looked at this, that 8309, it looked like, with that reference, it references an 8309, I assume that should be 308 on the 1, 2, 3, 4th line.
Where is 308? Oh, probably not.
Because it says,
Yeah, I
in
see that.
violation of section 8308 is what lists the unlawful acts.
Or is it talking about?
Is that right?
The violation that's already in.
I mean, the current one reads that, but it doesn't make any sense. It says in violation of section in
Where are you
308.
reading? Excuse me, Paul.
I'm on
32.
page 32, under 309. So it's 1, 2, 3, the 4th line. Shouldn't that be 308?
Okay, thank you.
It's not, you're not gonna find it in your.
Oh, I was gonna say, because it ain't in here.
It's in our book.
Oh, okay.
That probably makes sense.
Because otherwise you're rereferencing yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you shouldn't be referencing yourself.
Does that make sense to you, Craig?
It does.
Okay.
The way you suggested, now I'm looking down to 850, so I guess I won't move on.
Okay, so the 309 is going to be changed to 308. And then on the middle of the page where it says designating by, should be the, instead of they governing body, the. And then over here on 8502, I think it should be referencing 503.
507, you mean? 8507.
8507.
Yeah, on 8507.
Yes.
Should be at 503.
Yeah, 8503. Yep. You agree with that, Craig?
Yes.
All right, and those were the only changes I had. When you read this, you know, we're basically giving our public officer all the power. And I just said it's going to be really important for us to get a list every month. I see we have a new list. Is this from Butch?
Yep.
But, so it's going to, so that we know the status of everything he's doing, because you're putting it all in his hands, or we're putting it all in his hands. So I think it's really important that we get a monthly list of violations. The second thing is, I think we need to look at the letters that he's mailing out. Because remember when Mike Murphy came and was upset with how the letters read? Have you looked at the letters he sends out?
Well, I think it's worth looking at them again, especially with this change being made. I think it's always good practice just to go back over.
I think we really need to make sure that what the letters say is our intent. You know, we don't want to make it threatening.
Well, at the very least, it needs to be in compliance with the code, or it needs
Right.
to be in compliance with the code.
So before I think we need to set the letters, somebody needs to take a look at those letters. Greg, you know, do you want us to look at it? Do you want finance and admin to look at them? What do you want to do? Because we were giving him all that power, we better know what the letters say. And I know we've already given it to him anyway, but just because this whole thing on 11th Road, I think whenever there's a letter going out on behalf of the city, we need to know what it says. I don't know what it says.
Should we have some standard
They are
letters?
standard.
Yeah, but I think we need to take a look at them. Okay?
I think you can do whatever you want. Whoever can look at it.
We can send out to the whole council, so everybody's comfortable with what's going on.
what the wording
Yeah.
says. And the other thing is, that, we are now giving the power of all of this to the officer or his designee, right? And so I think the most important thing on this, as it always has been, is consistency throughout. And, we might not always have someone that we can rely on as much as Butch. So that's another reason why we need to make sure we get monthly reports and we know exactly what the letter says. And I don't know, Darlene, I know you drive around town a lot and look at different properties and stuff. And do you guys do that too? Do you bring up specific properties for him to look at just to make sure that another set of eyes is looking at stuff?
Called a few in.
You've called a few in? Not that he's not being consistent, but I think that is the most important thing to me, is that other people can't say, well, look, it's so-and-so's yard.
Yeah, we can't just attack one ward. It has to be all the wards.
Do you think we're attacking one ward? That's a...
Well, no, I'm
Okay.
not saying that.
Okay.
I'm just saying we need to
Because
look at all the wards.
And I believe we do. Butch applies it to everywhere. He drives around constantly. He uses my vehicle. And here, we're fine with the consistency. We do need to, and I do want to make it perfectly clear. Yes, if you see something wrong, turn it in. That's fine. We can't catch everything. We're not going to, and Butch is one set of eyes, correct. So if you see something, we want to know about it. Do want to make it perfectly clear, but that once it is in the process and on this list, that it is good prudence for the council and in all its form to let the process happen. Because you guys are the appeal boards. You guys are if they want to appeal, they're coming to you guys for a decision. It probably wouldn't look good if you're getting involved in the middle of it as well. So if somebody's calling you up and going, I got a letter on this, I would just let it go through the process.
Well, I know that when that's happened to me, I said, well, have you called Butch to see specifically what it is he wants you to clean up?
Right.
And I don't know if people are always comfortable doing that.
Well, but if it's their property, and if by the letter of the law, they're in violation of it, that's a legitimate reason. And if that's why there is an appeal process. That when it comes to that point and they want to appeal it, they can come to you guys and go, hey, I feel I was wronged, or I feel I can do better. And that way you guys can get a legitimate answer to them and a ruling on all the information, and not just when they're calling up and giving you grief because they're upset because they got a letter.
Well, and also that's what I asked Dave today, if we could have a updated list, because we
And
haven't
we will
had
give
one
you
in a
these.
long
We'll
time.
give you these lists. That way you
And then-
guys can see what's going on.
And then if somebody complains to us about their neighbor, whatever, we can check our list.
To see if they're already on it.
Exactly. Yes, definitely.
But what were you going to say, Terry?
Madam Mayor, does our enforcement office, does he have a complete list of just exactly what he's supposed to be doing?
Well, it's just a code book.
The code book.
Okay, that's fine, but it's gotta be, it can't be selective. Right on 7th or 6th Street, when you go across the street, all those cars don't have any place to park, but they're all in violation. Now, are we gonna make them move?
A lot of what we enforce is complaint-based. So if a neighbor comes to us and says, these are in violation of the code, we follow through with it.
Well, if your neighbor doesn't like you and he just wants to make a complaint.
Right.
He's doing something, but yet the guy that's living right next to him's got his car parked there, and it's all right. I don't know.
Again, I would ask the council to not get involved in the process until it gets into the appeals process.
I'm not, but I actually got involved because I was selected to be picked on for barbed wire. And so far, you guys have dropped this thing, and you don't even want to talk about it now. And it's one of the biggest things. Butch got involved in the barbed wire. To me, he don't belong there. The city police department needs to do the barbed wire.
We could have sent a police officer out
Could
there.
have, should have, that's the way it should have been done, yes.
Okay.
I'm just saying. But that needs to be addressed, and it's been put on hold because nobody had the answers. Now they don't know what to do. That's got to get taken care of. And Butch has got to have all the answers before he can do his job and do it right.
He follows what's in here.
There's 3 different places to look in that book.
If it's written in there, that's what he follows.
Is he supposed to go to those 3 different places and do all those things? Whether it's health or whether it's the nuisance
Yes.
and this, he's going to be doing all of those things?
Right.
And he's going to be the only guy making the decision.
If it's written down, he can make the decision. That's what this is all about. He follows what's written in here. And that's what this whole process is about.
Okay?
So let's go back to somebody who says, I don't know what they did. Maybe that should be the key, to have a second set of eyes look at it instead of Butch. I'm just throwing that out. I'm just trying to figure out. You're just concerned that it's only one person is responsible for all of it?
I'm concerned that if one person that does the exact same work or has the same business does something one way, and another person that does the exact same business gets a violation, but the other one don't, that's selective enforcement, and I don't think it's a good reputation for the city to have that.
I agree.
All right,
That's
we
always
probably
been,
need about 3 or 4 enforcement officers and really get busy about it if you're gonna do that to people.
yeah, that's always been my big thing is that, and Dave never had enough time to do it. And so I'm glad that we have an enforcement officer, but we have to make sure that he's consistent, or encourage him to be as consistent as possible throughout the town. Okay? So, so you'll send the letters out so we can take a look at them? And we'll get a list of, like, every month to see who's on the list in case people call us?
Right.
All right. You guys have any other changes to this ordinance? Are you guys okay with it? I just had those 3 changes.
Move to approve ordinance 1877
Seconded.
As amended?
as amended.
Is there a second, Jason? Is there any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Boss,
Yes.
Hippia,
Yes.
Graham,
Yes.
Hughes,
No.
Fry,
Yes.
Schroller,
Yes.
Thrum,
Yes.
Barnes.
Yes.
7-1.
All right. I saw Kevin come in.
Yes, I did too.
Do we want to jump back? Are you guys ready, Dave? Okay. I don't know, I can't believe you put your children's baseball game again in front of the city council,
I
Kev. Come on.
apologize, it was a nail biter. It was a good game.
I do the same thing. All right. I think the first thing I want you to discuss a little bit is the bulk water thing. Bulk water. Can tell I'm wrong. Bulk propane, just to make sure everybody on the council understands kind of how everything played out and as I understand the meetings, the safety meetings aren't until this week, right?
Yeah, Thursday.
Yeah, so you want to just kind of tell everybody how it kind of played out? Just an overall picture.
We, planning commission had a site plan, approved the building for it. And at the same time that night, they approved going ahead with a public hearing for the special development overlay district to do the bulk propane storage facility. That followed the next month. All the letters were sent out for that public hearing and everything, so went ahead and had that. We had, what, 3 people?
Three
People showed up.
To protest against it, yeah.
No, just they had their concerns and stuff. They expressed all their concerns and everything. Matter of fact, we listened for almost 3 hours and went through all the concerns and stuff. Went through all the characters and stuff that you go through and deals with each one. We did separately on the different stuff that goes with the special overlay district. And after 3 hours, they decided to go ahead and allow it. It was a 3-2 vote. So the site plan was approved with the propane tank, and we added a 20-foot easement on the north of the property. That's what this is before you tonight for, because when there's easements and dedications, the governing body needs to approve those. So the planning commission approved the site plan for the bulk storage and everything for the special overlay district.
So you're here actually just to approve the easement?
Correct.
For the council to approve the easement. Well, I just got a call today from someone, and they said that they were concerned that on the planning commission, there were only 5 people there, and it was a 3-2 vote that made a decision on it. I'm just communicating this to what they said. So they were concerned about that. They said also we're concerned that if they called it, if there's a propane tank explosion, they call it a BLEVE. I don't know I'm just saying what he said. Anyway, he said that would affect a half-mile radius. And he said, but the half-mile radius people weren't all contacted. That was his comments to me.
So we stretched our notifications from state statute from 200 feet for notifications. The governing body made an ordinance, a new ordinance to go 1,250 feet. So now, do we want to stretch that and go a half mile?
I'm just communicating what their concern was. Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, we notified a lot of people, almost 60 people out there.
So this is what they said. So 3 people approved this. That's a comment back to me today. 3 people approved it.
But then on the other hand, these guys said they sent letters to 60 people.
Yeah.
If only 3 people showed up.
And
It's on
Kramer said every approval from the state fire marshal, from every regulation that they had to follow, they had everything in place.
Got their state licenses and everything for it.
I'm just communicating what they called. No one else got any calls about this?
How do you want to get more people there?
Was this person, did they say they were there at the meeting? Or was this secondhand?
It was secondhand because they were not within the 1,250 feet, but they would have been within the half mile.
They could have still gone to the meeting.
If they knew about it.
No.
It's in the
They might,
paper.
they might not have known about it till after the fact. I don't know. I assured them that 5 people are a quorum on the planning commission. It's
If you have 5 people, you vote. You go 3-2.
What's that, Dave?
I said if you only have 5 people here, that's a quorum. And if you vote, it goes 3-2, it's the same thing.
For the city council.
Yeah.
Well, I know it was a tough decision, and you guys did let those people share their concerns, and I am glad you're having the safety meeting. They're gonna have a safety meeting at Keating
There'll be one
Apartments.
out there at the senior housing in the morning. I think he's doing one in here at noontime,
So,
if anybody's interested.
anyway, I just wondered if you guys had gotten, and nobody else had gotten any calls?
Well, I talked to Thrums, but that's because I called our villa, and of course, they're definitely against it, so. But she didn't call me, I called her for something, so, but I didn't know there.
I had several people today tell me, I went to I'm not telling you who it was, but it was the retired railroad breakfast. And there was about 30 guys there, and there was about 9 that was really interested in it, making fun of me about being on the council to put something in our town that is for a rural community. Propane, we don't have propane in our town except for a few people.
Yeah.
There's very few.
As
This
far
should-
as using it, yes.
And they sure got on me about that why the city would be dumb enough to store propane in a city when it should be out in the country. That's what they all said. I won't say they all said it, but 4 or 5 of them did.
But we sell farm diesel inside the city limits, and we don't farm generally inside
couldn't
the city
hear you,
limits.
Ted.
We sell farm diesel. We sell a lot of things inside the city limits that aren't used in the city limits. I don't necessarily think that's a good reason. I think it's a hazard, but, I mean, the logic of we shouldn't sell things inside city limits that aren't used in city limits, stretch that to its logical conclusion, and there's lots of things we sell.
Well, I understand exactly what you're saying. Diesel has a hard time exploding.
True.
Propane does, and then it evaporates at 17 degrees Fahrenheit, it starts to evaporate. And it goes down into people's basements. And when it goes off, the house goes. And it could be a small leak that goes into somebody's basement. There's no reason for it to be in the city. It's been passed, it's done, but boy, it sure got to be taken care of safely, and there's a lot of people saying how stupid we are for putting it in the city rather than being out in the country where they've already got a deal at Kramer's out on the River Road. So I just wanted everybody to know that.
So Craig, we did everything legally correct, right?
With regard to the process of the planning commission,
And the overlay district and everything looks like it all ties together.
well, at first glance it seems so, but to fully answer that, I would want to look at it.
Okay.
I wasn't really aware as it was happening, and I'm relying on what I saw on the agenda. I've given that a cursory look.
Okay.
Are you, asking about notice requirements and those kind of things? or-
No, I just wanted to make sure we went through the whole process correctly, but
Doesn't Landos have big ammonia tanks up there? What are those big tanks they have on the
They're
side of the
welding
building?
gas
The welding gas. They've got those huge tanks of welding.
and laser gases,
Oh, yeah.
industrial gases.
Yeah, and that's just 4 blocks from my house. I mean, you
It's
never
not
know.
propane,
Is it caustic? Can it explode?
not like propane. When propane goes in a basement, the house goes.
Yeah, I
Because it
realize
goes
that.
down. Settling and those gases, they dissipate in the air.
Yeah, but natural gas mains, the same way, and everybody's house is connected to that. I mean, if you had a natural gas house, it did the same thing. I mean,
Yeah,
everybody relies on it, it's a heating fuel.
a big backhoe came close to cutting through the gas line on my property.
Wow.
I just got home in time.
all right, well, going forward here, we just need to approve that 20-foot utility easement on the north property line.
Move to approve the utility easement.
I second it.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 8-0. Oh, sorry, 7-1. All right, the next one is the industrial park.
Yeah, hold on. Here's those. Back in, I believe that started maybe in 2002. Oh, never mind. Okay, 2011, April 25th meeting of 2011. The industrial park, there was an initial plan made out for an industrial park for the airport on the southwest corner of the airport at the intersection of North and, what is that, 12th Street?
20th.
No.
20th.
20th, yeah, North and 20th. And according to the minutes of the meeting, it kind of fell flat because there was no action taken on the platting cost of 7,300 with Olson and Associates. And I'm sure that cost has went up since then. But what the planning commission has been dealing with lately is going through the comprehensive plan and kind of redoing everything and trying to get back on track with what the comprehensive plan states. And one of them is to use city property for things to develop new industry and new improvements to the town and things like that. And Partnership for Growth has approached us about approving stuff for an industrial park and several other things. So we were just thinking that this area was a good area for industrial growth. It's property the city already owns. It's the only one that we discussed that is ready to go. I mean, it's utilities are close by, good streets are close by. The rest of them would take tons of money to get developed, to get infrastructure there to move it forward. So we're just kind of proposing it back to the council to see if you guys had any interest in moving forward with something like that.
I guess the big question is the council, the city, wanting to develop another industrial park? Or do you want to take what Ellen has and invest money in that site and develop stuff out there?
Or we could do both.
Yeah.
I mean, this one, the infrastructure's already there, and we could develop both, but, I mean,
the planning commission just felt we need to get an industrial park going. So then we did look at Growers and all those other, we looked at all types of ground on that map, and it kind of come down to where this was free ground, and it was brought up before, so it's whether you want to open this back up. And all these minutes in here, these are all council meeting minutes. They want to come to the planning commission during a workshop one time with the two commissions, so.
so since we, in 2011, did we make any changes to that taxiway that would affect how many acreage we have?
I don't think so.
Not since 2011?
Because it wasn't gonna get that far north.
We just discussed it enough times, we felt it's got to come to you people to see if you even want to go forward with it. You know, you don't want to proceed, then we don't need to go any further. We look, you know.
Look to the next property. Yeah. But this was something that the city already owns. You don't have to spend several $100,000 to buy the property.
There wouldn't be a lot of site development issues as far as, I don't think, water issues and things as there would in some other places perhaps too. Wouldn't require a lot of earthwork.
Storm drainage.
Storm drainage.
Storm drainage, you'd have to drain what, east? Down north?
You would probably be best to get it to go east.
If you could.
There's some concern about, how much water would push by the Berean church there. And, because that's probably where most of it would flow.
You'd push it to there?
Well, naturally, I think that's.
Or you think
just kind of-
we can't push it any further down?
Or on, I don't know where you can push it.
You wouldn't want to bring it down 20th. That's already a bottleneck down there.
I know, but no, I was thinking down
north and
north to
feed
the lowest
country
point,
club
yeah.
eventually.
I was thinking if you can avoid that Berean church and drain it all the way down to where the creek bed is, where the cows always are.
So something like this, before it's platted, would require a stormwater study.
Correct.
So we would have to figure that out beforehand anyways.
When you read through those minutes, it sounded like stormwater was their biggest concern. 2011, back then, in Marshall County, they did a whole analysis to figure out where the best place was in all of Marshall County to build an industrial park, and it was this, and then they decided not to do it. But since then, the parts building went up in 2015, and there was no negative feedback about that at all, which, think about the truck traffic that
I don't think at that time this was going to be heavy industry. I think it was just going to be your smaller, lighter industry stuff up there.
And if, we do want that Detroit effect, like you've talked about Sabetha and places before, you might want things that are close to Landall, and also, I mean, yes, there's certain negatives, and that's why it was shot down before with it being in that neighborhood and there's residential around, but there's also 20th Street and north to 11th to get out to the highway. So it's not like it's a one-way in, one-way out situation. And for like low-rise development, like what do they call it, light industry? This wouldn't be probably a lot of big shop 10 size buildings. It would be low-rise, right?
And I'm assuming, we haven't checked with the FAA, but they probably got some height restrictions right there in that. Close to.
I don't think we're ever going to reopen the
I don't think you're
Crosswinds
gonna put up no
runway.
30-foot high building
Yeah.
in that area.
Did Ellen talk to you about that possible senior housing going in there? That's the first time I heard about when she shared today.
That's
No.
just something that was brought up.
Is 18 acres feasible for that?
I think that's about what that guy was looking for.
He was looking for a minimum of 5 with possibly 10. That's what John, I don't remember his name, that's what you had mentioned before.
So, yeah, they said that they had, back in 2011, it was 18. I don't know if it's changed based on airport FAA changes or not.
Well, the nice thing, if it was a housing, there'd be more yards and stuff. There wouldn't be near as much runoff
Concrete?
coming off of that.
I'm sure all the like overline lines wouldn't be allowed by the, overhead power lines wouldn't be allowed by the FAA. All that would have to be underground.
Which it
I
is.
think that would just be probably off, a certain cone area from the end of the runway. I probably wouldn't fly off the side now that grass runway is closed.
The Crosswinds runway.
Nick's also on the planning commission, so.
Well, actually, that might be the best case development of that because they want to put just single story housing in.
I'm a little nervous even with, I don't know
With
how
all the
aggressive
traffic on.
well, traffic and noise. It sounds like we're setting ourselves up for future noise complaints if you talk about putting senior housing next door to the heavy industrial area. It seems like, I already hear, I don't know if you do, people on 11th Road about noise from Shop 50, and there was supposedly a sound barrier that was going to go up when that happened.
The trees are there. They're only about this tall now.
And even trees, you'd need a lot of trees. There's not much to barrier that.
Where's the trees at?
They're on the east side of Landell's property.
I don't know if they're planted in 6 inches of soil, but they aren't growing very
They're not
much.
growing very
I was
fast.
going to say, I don't
Yeah,
remember
there's
seeing a tree.
little cedar trees out there.
Well, in the airport, there's,
Yeah, I have certain
from the
misgivings about how
So you think
excited
the
people
traffic would be, I'm sorry, the sound, the
I think the
noise
sound
would be the
a
biggest.
significant issue unless you put a sound wall up like you see along interstate highways, but I don't think we're going to do that necessarily either.
I think there's better places for senior housing than
Yeah.
by the airport and out there.
I think down east, like they had talked about, would be great, but
And the random,
It's not
the
right.
random Army helicopter that takes the landing,
Yeah.
they'd really enjoy that.
Yeah.
Because they train up here quite a bit.
Yes, we hear them go over our house all the time too.
We run up there.
Go check
You
it out.
watch them go.
Boys love it.
Yeah.
Well, I hear from my house on 9th Street, I
Yeah.
hear the banging at night and the
Yep.
backup
The
dinging.
beep, beep, beep. You
sound
hear that
really-
at your
Sound
house?
really carries if it's still enough.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Those helicopters? you
I
said?
guess-
No, she's talking about the sound,
The steel.
the backup.
His
Yeah,
first
Oh.
question is, does the council want to proceed with the planning commission trying to find a place for an industrial park?
I would say, yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
we need another one? Or do you think we ought to go out and grow with this one out here?
Well, that's the thing.
We ought to
We
put
can,
infrastructure in there, maybe we ought to just start growing or buying some land with that or something.
well, and I'm not opposed to going ahead and saying we can do both.
Yeah, I think you're right.
If we can get a light industry park starting there, why should we not?
And planning commission kind of figured even if it's not developed, at least it's set up to tell somebody that
yes.
it could,
They
they
show
could offer
interest,
them that.
If somebody comes to town and they're ready to pull the trigger, then at least there's something in place. If you don't have anything in place, then they won't.
Right.
And
Do you guys want to reconsider like the different designs they gave once we tell you yes? Or should we go ahead and do a stormwater to have that part ready? What do you think?
Well,
I don't know how much the stormwater study, or the, I guess, the layout of the plots affects the stormwater study. I mean, you kind of have to follow the natural lay of the land anyway, don't you? I mean, you can't alter it a lot.
Well, I think the storm,
Yeah,
that double one, yeah.
right.
The double depth of the lots, that was weird.
We thought it was just made a lot more sense just to have one street with stuff on both sides.
Yeah.
Three rows of-
And it'd be bigger, it'd be a little bigger lot.
I don't know, does everybody have a copy of this?
Yeah.
Three different ones, yes.
And I think having nothing facing onto North Street's probably good.
The way
Have it
that
all
one
face
is-
in.
Yeah.
Where that one is.
You'd have one exit?
Each one's gonna come out on a North Street.
Yeah, I don't think that's great.
You want one exit?
No,
On to
I'm
20th?
okay with one exit, two exit, but I just mean, I think all the lots should back onto 20th and back onto North and face in, so that there's only one or 2 points of in and out entrance, so otherwise it's a lot of,
Yeah,
it'll look
otherwise you're gonna
better,
have a
it'll
lot.
function better, I think.
The storefront.
Well, and if you, I guess what we thought is if you have a through street there, it will alleviate some of the pressure off of 12th Street, because that's an easy way out. If you bring everything back to 20th, or, yeah, 20th.
Yeah.
If you bring everything in and out on 20th, then they're gonna go down 20th.
I'd say if you're only gonna have one, your best bet's probably to come off of North instead of 20th, because of all the semis on 20th turning into Landalls there. That would make that, I think, all the more congested, maybe, on 20th, but.
And North is a very good street now, going out to 11th Road. There'll be a stop sign, or a stoplight out there Sunday, I think, at 36th and 11th. The way it sounds.
So you like the one that's on 27th better with this through street?
I think we were kind of looking at sketch 2, but then combining those double lots, or moving the street over and instead of having
Both sides.
Splitting it?
lots behind each other, just
Bigger
make
lots.
the frontage lots, all frontage lots and bigger.
Now, is that parking lot, is that size, is that still what the size is that Landell rents? That hasn't changed?
I think in here, it looks like it goes clear on north to the airport road.
And technically it doesn't, it stops just short, doesn't it? It stops just short of Airport Road.
Right, but this one plan is
Yeah.
showing it.
But it's not,
Take them all the way through, but.
they haven't extended it any farther south than they're already shown on here?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't.
That's kind of what I took away.
I don't know if they've added to that since 2011.
I think too, something, I don't know, Kevin, were you on council when the other industrial park went in, or was that before you were on council?
Before I was on it.
I think, and this is just, hindsight, I think we need to be pretty judicious about how the lots go out, so we don't have a bunch of empty lots being.
Stuck in between everything.
Stuck in between and then just undeveloped and kind of wasted, because it feels like our industrial park isn't full, even though obviously it's all sold.
It is full.
Right.
Yeah, I thought there was empty ground down there, but there's not, I guess.
That ended up getting in the floodplain down there.
Yeah, the floodplain hurt the south end of that.
Yeah. But even north between like our tank and the first sheds there, it's just, it feels like there's a lot of empty space.
That's all
It
tension
looks-
ground.
Well, I know, but I'm saying, people are like, why would you need another industrial park? That one's not full. Well, kind of it is full. So,
Well, I think we should have a plan for the storm drainage and probably make a new plat to kind of split that street. That's what you're doing for number 2?
Move the street a little further to the south.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
they're making all the lots a little bigger.
A little bigger.
And then they'll have the buried lot, yeah.
We have water sewer up to there?
It's joining streets, yes.
Okay.
Then the one, sketch 1 does have a detention area in it if you want to develop something in that area and then lead it out somewhere.
You say sketch 1 has, oh, right there, that one lot?
Yeah.
And all these sketches do include lots that are farther north, which we all figured would not be a part of the new sketch.
Correct, yeah.
I think at some time they decided,
Behind the new hangar.
they decided to keep
behind the
that land
cemetery.
for the future cemetery.
Yeah, I think we're just looking at this section here. So we need to figure out what we need to do, how much planning we need to do to get a stormwater done, to figure out if Drainey is gonna work on this. Or where the drain, I think stormwater was their biggest concern in 2011, so we need to,
I don't think you need any more coming to that corner,
No,
20th and North, that's,
because it's got to go all the way down to May in order to get out of there.
so what do we need to do before we can have a stormwater survey done on it?
Probably a design, because they're gonna go, okay, you're gonna put buildings here, here, and here. This is how the water's gonna fall off of it.
So we just say if we put concrete on all there?
Yeah,
If this
so
all,
if you
worst case
choose,
scenario, it's all concrete, what,
yeah, if you choose, like number 2, amended number 2, where you change that all up, they'd go, look at the rules you're implementing on them, seeing how much, what the worst case scenario would be, how big their building could be and all that stuff, and tell you how to use it, send the stormwater, or where to send the stormwater.
well, you got a couple stormwater specialists now, right? You said you had 2 bids,
2 bids, yeah,
so we can use one of them.
possibly.
Yeah. So, at this point in time, I think we should develop it, or plan to develop it.
At least the south section anyway.
Yes, I think so.
I don't know so much on the north anymore up there behind Landell's parking lot, behind the hangars, but the south section I think is doable.
We own the land, so.
Yeah.
Wait,
We were just saying, like, does the planning commission, or what comes first before the study, or do you do things before the study so you don't waste money on a study when it doesn't go through the other steps?
I guess, we could just say leave it this space. We need to make sure with the airport that we can still use this space, that's the first
we
step.
probably ought to get hold of them and see if it's still doable,
Right.
you know.
So the airport's
Maybe they've
first.
had different rules down, they're not gonna let you use this land.
Yeah, so that would be the first step. And then I think the second step would be, let's say, worst case scenario, we develop all of this land and what the stormwater impact is.
Yeah.
Dave, the reason that this was shaded, right, was because they thought at one point, or they just wanted to keep that open for future hangars.
I think that was all future taxi, back to hangars and stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of a big master type plan at that time.
Well, at least we'd have some lots for people to buy. Once we figure out how to, replat it, the only expense to the city would be putting the street in. At this point,
Yeah,
yeah.
water's right there on North Street, hydrant right out there too, so you surely want to loop it around. And then we've got to figure out where's sewer, which way is sewer. I guess that runs down, all that sewer goes down Frank Marshall Drive, doesn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, that's where you connect it to it. At least that's just looking at the map.
Sanitary sewer.
Yeah.
Since we had neighbors protest it last time, do you think we need to do anything about that?
That was how many years ago?
2011?
8 years.
They may not, you don't know. Like,
But
Well, you should probably.
Same
let people
Well,
know
there-
so people
before-
hear about it.
before
Yep.
platting it, there would be a public hearing.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
It's the same people that live there.
yeah.
Mostly.
There's a
Pretty
lot of
much.
turnover.
There's at least 3 or 4 houses I know of have changed hands.
Ones
Yeah.
right on the corners have been there all
Those are
that
staying,
time.
yeah. Well, the one is, I
Well,
don't think anybody lives in the one.
Yeah, so both of them have kind of
Yeah.
changed
The process would include a public hearing, so yeah, it would be,
when we replatted it.
when you go to try to plat it or
At least
that.
2 there.
So do we go ahead with just have the storm sewer study done, and that way when we have the public hearing?
We'll have them check with FAA first.
Yeah.
Come back in the next meeting, then we can decide whether we want to go ahead and proceed with the stormwater survey.
Well, I don't know if you really want to, I think you just want to do some preliminary sketch plan or something. I don't think you'd want to get deeply, I think if you had a sketch plan or something for some engineer to figure out the drainage.
Yeah, well, if we just take something like this and say, let's, worst case scenario, this is all concrete, where does it go?
See, and I think these were just kind of some preliminary sketch plans. That's when they got into that, what, the 30?
The what?
Yeah, it said
Cost.
preliminary.
Do the plat and stuff.
Yeah, it was 70.
Yeah, so when they got it, yeah, when they got to that part, then I think they kind of started.
7,300 was the plating cost, but, you know, that's
8 years
8
ago.
years ago, so it could be double that now, probably.
Okay. Well, at least we have some ideas, potentially two, right? Shocking, huh?
Well, and if, you know, this doesn't go, then we move on to the next,
We-
viable place, so.
So, Partnership for Growth Business Park, is it annexed in yet?
No.
So that would be the next step, right?
Yep.
And they didn't annex it in because they didn't know what they wanted it zoned, but now they would know what you want it zoned, right?
Exactly.
I think it got held up with, too many uncertainties at that time, don't you?
Yeah.
But I think if she has a plan going and the city's willing to help with infrastructure, then I see no reason why not to bring it back through and zone it whatever they want and
Annex.
go
Okay.
for it. Annex it.
Okay, so those will be the steps, yeah.
I mean, back, first time we tried that, it was so iffy on would it go, who's gonna invest what, how to get the stuff there, so they just decided not to rezone it at this time. And
Well, they didn't have a
Bring it back.
potential, am I right, Nick? They didn't have a potential builder either at that time.
That time, no. You know, it's like Kevin said earlier, you know, our attempt at that was just to say, let's have all these steps out of the way for whoever comes in the future. Well, the future's here. And so now we need to do that before they can start, obviously.
Okay.
Yeah, if you have something platted already and, you know, whether they want one lot, 2 lots, or 3 lots for whatever they're doing.
Well, it seems like we'd want to encourage Partnership for Growth to get that annexed ASAP, right?
Yeah.
So that's probably you guys' next step.
Yeah,
I'm
I
looking
think
at
it
Nick
was-
on that. That's your next one.
Right, and I think they would want to annex it, zone it, all at the same time. Right.
Yeah, rezone it, plat it.
Then there was some concerns about, you know, sewer and water, since it's so far to the north of the highway.
Well, now that we know about what the
We discussed
cost,
the sewer stuff.
Yeah,
Ellen was here
we
first of the meeting and stuff.
They kind of have some
okay.
general estimates now.
All right, I missed that, yeah.
okay,
The only thing out there
Oh,
is if they
yeah,
increase their land to the east with another section, I just feel in the planning stage, somehow, it's gonna all be pumped out there anyways. It'd be nice to put one pump in the right location for future growth, that's all. I mean, you don't wanna just put something in, I don't think, for 5 lots, and then all of a sudden this fills up and we can buy 5 more lots over here. Now the pump's in the wrong place. I'm not sure how you're gonna get that landowner to let you put a grinder pump over there and pump across it. You know, might just have to do what you gotta do and then move it sometime,
yeah.
and add on.
Yeah, because I think that where they wanted to put that was not on the property, it was clear to the east.
I know it's hard to look down the road 10 or 20 years, but that stuff happens sooner or later,
Yeah.
if you're gonna keep going.
Well, all right. We good?
I guess we'll talk it over again, and I guess when they wanna start drawing, we'll
Yeah.
It's kind of a little different. Usually a developer brings all the drawings into you, but you guys are gonna be the developer. So, figure something going. Okay,
we're gonna be the developer of the infrastructure to the development, right? Okay.
You're gonna be the money people, I guess. Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right, we did that one then. And so we're at liquor? Okay, page 36.
And then there's some more stuff that I added later on the table. I found some more stuff.
Cindy, do you want to
I can try.
share about this?
Well, I had someone come in and they were asking about starting some more, a bar. So I researched what our ordinance was and then I called ABC because it didn't make sense with what they were telling me. So I sent in our code book that says, if you read our code, it already says that we have Sunday sales on alcohol, which we do not. So then...
But we do. Our code book says we do.
Our code book says we do. So I
Well,
just
this is the law.
Right, and I faxed it in.
So we just have, nobody's ever done it.
Well, not exactly. So I faxed it into ABC because she said that's what you need to do because no one's ever sent anything to us. And so I sent in the page in the code book and she said, okay, now show me where you put it in the paper for 2 weeks and did the protest period for 60 days. I said, well, we put it in the paper that we changed the code book, but we didn't do the protest.
In
period.
2011?
Yes, that was August 25th of 2011. And so then in thinking about it more over the weekend, I got the list that she said. They kept telling me it's all or nothing. You have no choices. ABC said it's all or nothing, no choices. So
When you say that, between cereal malt beverage and alcoholic?
and hard
And-
liquor.
Yeah, they're
They
both
have to
under
be
the same
all or
rules.
nothing.
Okay.
And so she said, and they're calling it extended hours. So I assumed all the hours you sold liquor and all the days you sold liquor on, that meant all or nothing. So she said, look at the chart. So I looked at the chart, and the chart, because the liquor store owner told me that the CMB people can sell for longer periods of time than a liquor store. Look at the chart, they can. So I called ABC back and I said, okay, you told me all or nothing. But she said, well, that's really just days, not hours. So no matter what, someone that's at CJ's or Walmart or Casey's or a grocery store can sell, because they're only selling, that's cereal malt beverage, can sell a lot more hours. They can sell anywhere from 6 a.m. until midnight. A liquor store can only sell from
Even
9.
though it says 9 a.m. there?
That's what, on the back page, yep, even though it says 9 a.m., on the back page, there says 6 a.m. till midnight. So they can sell there, but a retail liquor store can only sell from 9 a.m. till 11.
Oh, okay, I got it.
Okay. But she said, that's really not your issue at all. She said, your issue is, you say you have extended hours, but you cannot opt out of Sunday sales. Well, we have a charter ordinance that we passed in 2008 that did exactly that. Let them sell on holidays, but not on Sunday. So the charter ordinance is illegal. There is a opinion from the Attorney General that was written in 2006 that says this is where they're getting all or nothing. You have to have extended hours, including Sunday sales, in order to be able to sell on holidays.
Except for Easter and Thanksgiving Day.
Exactly.
And Christmas.
Easter and Thanksgiving Day.
Christmas.
Or Christmas.
Yeah.
So
the
we've been out of compliance all along.
Well, the question is if we want to allow Sunday sales.
Exactly.
And to change, and if so, our code book already says that.
Right. We just have to do the protest period in the paper for we print it 2 weeks in a row and give them 60 days to protest.
So it's just whether we want to do expanded hours or if we want to roll back to basic.
Correct.
And basic they would be closed on all the holidays.
On all the holidays, correct.
And so it's one or the other.
It's
it can't be what we currently have.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
the 6 holidays. So
That
the
is-
6
that is
holidays versus the 3.
I think the key is They don't, this isn't requiring anybody to be open. I mean, that.
Don't have to be.
I know,
You can't.
right. I mean, whether the market dictates people are open or closed is a whole nother question, but when you're gonna err towards something, I'd say err towards people having choice and businesses operating as they see fit. But I understand why they have misgivings.
And the Shells wanted us to please read their letter
Yeah,
because they
we did.
couldn't attend because they are at health appointments tomorrow and could not come. So that was their,
So just briefly, they would like the extended hours.
no.
No,
Briefly,
they
they would not like the
They
extended.
don't?
They
Okay.
do not.
I haven't read their letter.
No, they would prefer not to because they're a small business and they say that the cost to be open the extra day, because you don't really gain sales. People buy the same amount of alcohol whether they do it in 6 days or 7. You're just
And
requiring them to be
so
open.
we would be,
You say that, but I've literally gone out of town to buy booze on Sundays 3 times at least I can think of this
Oh,
year.
Todd,
would
don't
be-
even tell me about your personal problems.
so right now, that
Super Bowl Sunday, you
Walmart
forget
is
about it.
selling beer.
Exactly one of the days.
Walmart is selling beers on Sundays right now.
No,
No.
They're not.
no one is.
Nobody is, because we.
Because we say they can't.
But
Even
that's
though our
illegal
cookbook
for us
says-
to say that we can't
Right.
per
And the
this.
state says that we shouldn't be open on holidays either. That we shouldn't be open on Sundays or holidays because that's what the code says.
I'm fine with as we are now, but we can't live as we are now.
No, we can't.
And I
No,
don't
that's
want
what
to
I'm
roll
saying.
back
No.
holiday
No.
sales.
Right, so that's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's
That's
your
the trouble.
option.
We need to give them the choice, I think.
So we can post it, we can print it in the paper and wait for protests to come, because that's your option.
Well, the fact
Or
that
say
we
no.
tell them that if we allow them to sell on Sunday, they can choose not to.
Correct.
Right.
They can,
And their fear is that
They will lose
Walmart will get their beer sales on Sunday. Because Walmart's still not selling anything but beer, right? 6%.
well, yeah, 6% and under, whatever that all entails, I don't know what that is. but I suppose wine coolers.
So we only have one liquor store now, right?
Yes.
And they're the ones saying they prefer us not to.
Aye.
Well, just even if we okay it and have it done, that doesn't mean they have to be open on
No,
Sundays.
they do not have to.
That's their choice.
Right,
But if
but-
someone else comes to town to open another liquor store.
Well, it doesn't have to be a liquor store. CJ's, Casey's, Walmart, all of
They
them.
can sell,
sell
yeah.
on Sunday.
They can sell. They have that choice then.
But if we say that we aren't going to be open on Sundays, then we have to take away the holiday sales.
Correct, that is correct.
Three,
And none of them.
3 holidays. That's, the difference between expanded and not expanded is only 3 holidays.
Yes, the,
Oh, it's
4th
not
of July,
all of them?
Labor Day, and Memorial
I'm reading
Weekend,
it
is
as
that
like
not
if you're
correct?
closed
Or the
here,
3 they
then these are go
can
away.
sell on?
Yeah.
Cannot
Three-
sell on.
No matter what, they can't sell on
Yeah.
Easter, Thanksgiving, or Christmas.
Right.
So
you're just taking-
if you go back to basic, where they can't sell on Sunday, they also can't sell on Memorial Day, Independence Day, and Labor Day. So you add 3 days of restricted as well as Sundays.
So a total of 6
Isn't
days.
there
I guess.
election day in there too?
No, election day's not on there.
Or if we go back with, so we don't have it on.
Is
It's not
that-
on the list.
Is it a bar? I think,
I
So
think,
3 more.
I think the bar's closed on election day if you go back to the old way.
Oh, that's interesting.
I
Cereal
think-
malt beverage, basic and expended hours. Now they can sell, the only day they can't sell is Easter.
Right.
That's so funny.
absolutely.
And that's
So I
a
guess we'll
bar.
have to make that specification in our ordinance.
That a bar can't sell on Easter. Is that what you're saying?
No, that you,
Those are both
Pizza on
on premises. There's no, it says none.
Questionably.
yeah, there aren't
I
any.
never did it.
At a bar, you can, there are
It
no
doesn't matter.
restrictions.
Yeah, it says on premises.
If you have 30% food, we are a county that
On
does.
premise, got it, okay.
Yeah, on page 40,
See it.
it says that there's no restrictions.
In a perfect world, they just let it operate like any other business, and you can buy or sell whatever you want 24
So
hours a
are
day.
we in non-compliance?
We are in non-compliance. We have to do
Currently, we
something.
cannot
Just
stay the way we are.
get straight,
Yeah, we have to do
so
something.
we're not out of compliance.
Right, we have to do something.
And if
Well,
they want to
it's
be
only-
closed, they can be closed.
Our
I think that's
only
probably your only way to be able to
non-compliance,
do it.
our only non-compliance is we didn't notify people of it. That's,
No,
We-
the non-compliance is that we're
We
We got
allowing
our
people
deal
to,
wrong.
we're
Got
allowing
our
people
deal
to sell on
straight.
holidays right now,
But not on Sundays.
but not on Sundays.
So our charter ordinance is not legal, is what she told me. She said that is not a legal charter ordinance. You cannot split the difference and decide what you want to do and what you don't.
Well, I move that we publish the expanded hours for 2 weeks.
It's for the protest period?
Yes, for the protest period.
And let's see what happens?
Second.
So do we, when
Hold
we
on, I-
publish that, does that say we're requesting that
No, I think you gotta pass an ordinance.
to do a protest period?
Well, they're counting, ABC was counting the ordinance, where we passed the 2011 code book.
If not, we just take the state
Basically,
statute
it's
as
like
it is.
we're in the
and
middle.
okay.
We've been in the middle
We're not,
for
actually, we don't
19
have either
years.
one right now. Or this isn't
I
right,
think the correct procedure would be to
draft an ordinance?
have the council review a new ordinance that's in compliance with either the restricted
Or the
portion of the
expanded.
statute or the expanded,
Okay.
And then publish it.
and then comply with the statute to publish it the correct way. I don't think that the council could do that today because there's no ordinance in front of them.
Right. So do we want to draft an ordinance that is basic or expanded hours? That's the question.
I think we need to give them their choice of expanded hours. I don't, whether I do it or not, don't be telling me that I can't. Because I know where I'll go if I have to leave town to go get some and come
It's only
back.
8 miles.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you're taking away Labor Day.
So are you making a motion?
Memorial.
I
Are
make
you
a motion to do the extended hours.
to prepare, to draft an ordinance? For
There
the
is-
expanded hours? For
There is
both
a motion on
alcohol
the
and,
floor, Mayor.
excuse me?
There's a
There
motion
was
and
a
a second.
motion.
But our attorney said we can't do that. We can't
I
publish
know,
the
but
Would you like to withdraw your motion?
Yeah,
yes,
there
I
we
would
go.
like to withdraw my,
Okay, I let him overrule you, I'm sorry. You're gonna withdraw before she makes a
and
motion?
there was a second also.
second the withdrawal.
Okay.
Withdraw your second, yes.
Okay, so now you're gonna draft an ordinance?
And now, I'll make a motion to draft an ordinance for the extended hours for
Liquor and.
liquor and malt beverage.
Zero.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
7-1? 7-1, okay. All right.
Right.
All right, now, we move to tennis courts. Mary wants to share. Hi, we had a long meeting, sorry.
No, that's why I just want to say thank you to all of you for doing the council, because this is tough.
It's a long meeting, yeah.
I am Mary Kessinger Wassam, and I have been playing tennis on the Marysville City Tennis Courts for 44 years. And so tonight I am here to talk about tennis, talk about the tennis courts, and to give a past history on some things, but really to just, after being given the packet of information that you guys have concerning this, I want to give my opinion on that and as a tennis player. I am not here representing Marysville High School. I am just representing a tennis player that has been playing on your courts for 44 years. And I remember being back 44 years ago, sitting at the tennis courts on a summer evening like this and waiting to play. I would sit and wait because there were 3 courts at the time. And not until 1996 were there 6 courts. And so for much of my childhood, I waited for courts and have enjoyed the last 23 years with the 6 courts. And that's why I wanted to be here to talk about that as a player. I wanted to give a little background because I met with some of you at the tennis courts and had the chance to show you the tennis courts, had a chance to talk to you about the tennis courts a little bit. And I realize that a lot of you, because I've been coming for so many years, that I have, the background that I have to share, many of you don't know the history of, or a lot of the facts were not correct. And so I want to share those with you, just to update everyone on those, of the background. In 1996, the tennis courts were rebuilt and the 3 south courts were added. The city paid half, and the school district paid half at that time. In 2003, I met with the city administrator, Rick Shane, at that time, and for the first time about concerns with the tennis courts, and that was 7 years after they had been built. In 2003, the school district paid $15,000 for tennis court repairs, filling cracks and other things, as the city did. In 2007, the tennis court problems, we presented about it to the city council, and we wanted to know, what surface could be used and what could be done. Also in 2007, Rob McConnell from McConnell and Associates met with Rick Shane, and then some Hall Brother employees and a school employee at the tennis courts to give advice and a quote about what could be done. And in 2008, the city rec started an adult and youth tennis league during the summer and the fall months, and that's still going, present today. In 2009, the southeast courts, the net was removed in 2009, and so I returned to the city council. And in 2009, in the fall, we had gathered bids from Trans Texas Tennis and McConnell and Associates, and they were also giving information of different facilities in the state, what other cities had, what other communities had: Wamego, Heston, Independence, Lindsborg, McPherson, Chapman, Clay Center, Abilene, Concordia, giving all that information. Also, the city council, Hull Brothers, submitted a core sample of the ground under the courts and submitted a proposal showing that there was clay in the dirt that was used in the back 3 courts. That's what the problem is. It's not a different problem of that something can't be built there, and I'll explain that later. That's what it was there was clay in that ground. So Hall Brothers did that in 2009. In 2010, I returned to the city council after the vote for the sales tax was defeated. And that was when, in 2010 and 2011, the 2 failed sales tax increases. That was the new pool, the additional fire station, the property tax relief. Those were all together with the tennis courts, and all failed. Nets in 2013 on the south center and southwest courts were removed. And then again, back to the city council. After 10 years, I originally had come. 10 years later, in 2013, I went back and to discuss what we could do to repair and maintain the tennis courts. In 2013, that was the first tennis court committee meeting with city council members Tim Ackerman and Todd Fry were both a part of that. And in spring, the committee, we formed a committee, and in 2014, the Marysville School Board took no action when we had everything together with the city, and they took no action. Engineering and architecture firms hired by the city to design the complex were presented. So that was in March of 2014. Mark Barkamp of Olson and Associates and Paul Novak of BBN Architects presented architectural drawings of the six-court complex that would be $1 million at that time, and that was in 2014. The school board proposed to meet with the 3 city council members, and so that was a meeting that happened. Ackerman, Fry, and Mayor Philippi, to discuss user fees to use for tennis courts. And then within the next month, a rental fee was agreed upon. In 2014, the superintendent wanted, from the school district, they wanted to negotiate a reasonable fee for that joint use agreement. Marysville Schools had been paying $850 per month for the use of the city's softball and baseball fields, so they added another, I believe, $425 for the tennis courts, and that's what was agreed upon. The city council in July, so exactly 5 years ago, July of 2014, the city council voted to hire a Nebraska firm, the Pro Track and Tennis Inc., that you guys have the information from, to repair and add new color to the courts with armor crack repair system, with a guarantee of 5 years for $93,000. The city council could renew in 5 years, and that's where we sit today. I asked again repeatedly that the courts be put in the budget because I knew that a Band-Aid was not the answer. I knew that doing that was never going to solve the problem. Just like the cracks in the swimming pool, a Band-Aid can only last so long. And finally, the swimming pool had to be removed, replaced, rebuilt, just like the tennis courts. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about. My problem with the patching is that it looks smooth from a distance. From the road, it probably looks smooth, but for you that got to come to the tennis courts, so I think I've had 5 of you come out to the tennis courts to look at those. It's wavy, and for a tennis player, I mean, it's uneven. Wherever they patched, it goes up and then down. Wherever there is a giant crack underneath, that is sealed under there in some locations, but again, that is uneven. And so we have uneven courts, we have spots where a tennis ball will land and it'll shoot off a different direction. We have spots that will land and just die. The ball, they're called dead spots, where balls won't, come back up. Because the problem is under the courts. And I'm not talking about just the south 3 courts, I'm talking about the north 3 courts. And those are the courts that I showed any city council member that I could get to come that worked for them, shortly, to come and see that, because I wanted you to see for yourself that feel of what that feels like to walk on that surface, and what that feels like what that would be like to try to play on. And so now, where we are now, that was done 5 years ago, and the cracks and the water returned by January. So just a few months later, the problems began again. And the company was asked to repair the cracks in March of 2015. And again, the court is uneven, the cracks continue to appear, the water continues to rise to the court surface, like in the middle of today, if it's a humid day, the water will come to the surface, and the dead spots are everywhere. Now, 23 years after the court was rebuilt and the 3 south courts were added, the south 3 courts that were, again, the problem was the clay and the soil. The architects have proven that that location is a great location. There's nothing wrong with that location. That it's about going in and taking out those courts and doing it right, where they would put in a drainage system. And as they explained, no matter where they put those tennis courts, you would put a drainage system in now. I mean, that's how they built the tennis courts. They wouldn't do it wrong again. Something, that they've learned in the last 23 years is, the problems with the courts. And so that's a good location. It's a great location. But it needs to be done, and the 6 courts need to be there. Never once, in the whole time that I've been coming, never once has the city council budgeted for tennis courts. And it's so hard because I know you guys sit here now with this huge problem that you didn't create. You didn't, it's just been passed to you. But somebody somewhere has to do this, just like anything for our community. I just wish 16 years ago I would have said, I want one thing, and that is put it in your budget. If you're not going to do it today, put it in your budget for 5 years from now or 10 years from now, because now we're sitting in the spot where they're condemnable again. On the south side, they're not good, they're not smooth. If you go in and put a Band-Aid over it now, you're going to be in the same boat 5 years from now. You're going to be putting another Band-Aid on 5 years from now. It's never going to be a smooth surface until you go and tear those out and do the drainage system first, build them correctly. None of those problems will go away. I have this recreational activity of tennis has been here, like I said, my whole life. I've been playing on these courts. I know that Todd Fry found photos of the tennis courts from 100 years ago. The tennis courts have been here for years and years, and it's not dying in our popularity in our community. It's a sport that has been played by all ages. They're used by the public. It's a recreational activity that has brought great pride to our community for the youth's success that it's had. Not only with tennis, but now with pickleball on the rise. This spring, the rec department offered pickleball in the gym because we had the net set up, and the school was willing to let the rec use the facility. And the best night that they had, I believe 21 members or 21 people of the community came and played. And so my biggest thing right now tonight, before I came here, I went and helped chalk lines on the court for the pickleball players because they were playing tonight. I'm all in favor of putting lines on the tennis courts. I want to see pickleball players. I want the tennis courts. If I'm playing tennis on one court and there's a pickleball match going on the next court, that's great. I want to see the facilities, but this is not a time when I want to see this community go down to 3, because the pickleball players said, well, just bring them down here and have them come, play tonight. Let them see let them play, let them enjoy it. For any of you that haven't played, to get that opportunity. And so of all ages, I know that there's a 70-plus-year-old playing tonight on the courts. And like I said, and we have youth playing. We had youth this morning playing on the courts. We had youth this evening playing on the courts. It's being used. It's not a facility that's not. This community has taken great pride in their tennis. We are different than other communities. When I say in the area that we have tennis courts, that's a draw to our community. Our school, when we do host tournaments, we were hosting every 1 to 2 years, we were hosting regionals on a regular basis. When your courts are good and you're hosting, you're bringing in, I think the number was, for a 2 to 3 day tournament, you're bringing in about 160 people to your community, and that can be both fall and spring. We can add tournaments in the summer, but again, when we don't have good facilities, we can't host those tournaments. We can't bring people to the community for that. There's so many more opportunities like that. I just, again, I don't have any answers other than I just wanted to come and say that I hope that you will find a way. I hope that you will put this in your budget or find a way today. If not, you know what I mean? And I want to know questions or concerns that you guys have, but this is, you know, I think any court after 23 years is going to need to be replaced that was built back then. You know, the thing that the architects or the business that had given their bid, 30 plus years for tennis courts now. You still have to go the overlay on the top, the very top layer, and the color has to be added on a regular basis. That has to be sealed at the top. That has to be repaired. But other than that, your base should last over 30 years now with the information and the engineering studies that they have today.
Are there any grants or anything out there?
Yes, there is. Thank you for asking that. The Partnership for Growth, they helped me find some grants, and I already knew of one with the United States Tennis Association, and I have that tonight to pass to you, just an example of one. And I know in the past, 5 years ago, is that okay, or do you like to ask them individually too? No, okay. In 2013, the USTA would pay 20%. The biggest thing about anything that we do is that the city has to commit, because no grant will come along or will agree if we don't decide what we're going to do. And you know, it's a big process, but this is one of them, and that I can say that I would be willing to fundraise also for a court, or for, you know what I mean, to help with lights or with bleachers. I mean, I definitely, but I can also tell you that anybody that I've communicated with about fundraising, until the city decides that they're going to do this and do it right, nobody's willing to write the check or help me in any funding way. I can know that. There is also, Ellen Barber was also going to check into that community development block grant. And Carla, I don't know if you or any of you guys can answer that, if that's something that, if the tennis courts can be.
Oh man, I haven't seen a tennis court on there. It doesn't mean it can't be done, but I haven't seen a tennis court on there.
Sport and recreation.
Yeah, the real problem is that we can only have 2 outstanding at any given time, and so we already have 3 projects that we want to use CDBG monies for, so it wouldn't be, we want to do the firehouse first, and then either the stormwater at Lakeview, because they use 36,000 people use Lakeview per year, so we need to get that facility up and running.
Yeah, they use it for this time of the year, a 6 to 8 week season, or, you know what I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying that's a whole lot of people at once, that's true, where we're using.
Did I say the right number? Was it 36,000 or 3,600?
It's thousands.
36,000. So, but also if we can get streets, our 11th Road, 12th Road, and Keystone, if we can somehow get that CDBG funded, that would be a huge project as well. Who was going to talk? I was just going to say, the real problem is, $1 million, trying to find $1 million. I mean, to be honest, if we spend $1 million on a tennis court, and the people that live on 11th Road, 12th Road, and Keystone would be here tomorrow at the next meeting saying, you're not gonna fix my road and you're gonna put tennis courts in. I mean, we have to sit there and try to figure out how to best utilize the money we have. And $1 million is a big price tag. And when Mr. Mullins' last response to Austin was saying that they're not interested in putting any money into any courts at City Park.
The school district is the elephant in the room. They're the always being talked about, never part of the discussion.
Well,
entity.
I know that they pay rent, and I do.
Yeah, and the reason and the rent was determined based on recoding every 5 years, that they would pay 50%. That's how it was calculated. When we put the armor coat down in 2014, we figured out in 5 years it's gonna cost this amount. We split it in half, and that basically they're paying for the armor coat. Well, really, the painting of it, and armor coat was needed, but that was the reason how that amount was determined. You know, back in 2014, we were tracking along with the school board, as you said, and they were gonna pay 15%, and then they just, 50%, and then they just walked away. And we were kind of like, and you were right in saying three courts were marked off that were totally unusable, and we had to decide what to do. So we invested we can find 93,000. We can't find $1 million. Right? That's really just the truth.
But when can we then? And can we put it in the budget to be able to put it behind the firehouse, behind the 11th and 12th Street?
Well, it's possible. It's possible if it would qualify for a community facility, which I don't know. I haven't ever seen tennis courts listed.
But even what about the pool money? Not now, if that's, sounds like nobody wants to use that money now. If that, I don't know, if that money can be used now, or if not, if it can be used in 5 years.
Well, we won't pay off the pool to 2024 at the most, probably 2025. If we use it for nothing, if we just keep storing it up, we're not gonna pay off the pool till 2025. So, and then we'd have to go and then we would actually have to go to the constituents and ask if we can continue the sales tax. It would have to be a ballot question at that point.
Otherwise it'll sunset automatically.
Yes. So we have,
It sunsets at 20 years,
well,
regardless of if we have
Unless
debt or
you're
not.
paid off, right?
Regardless of whether we have debt or not. Yes.
Well.
That's according to the last conversation I had with Rick Enns, who wrote it.
Well, either way, there's no, unless we start using that money for, and to be honest, it's hard to justify the tennis courts versus Lakeview. I mean, if we're gonna use that money, Lakeview has a lot of repairs that need to be used.
Because when Lakeview was built, there was no budget for it either. So now we're all
the places
about to fall apart.
And nothing's been done.
And nothing has been done, and it's not your fault. You know what I mean?
So I'll be the first one to say in 2014, it was a Band-Aid. That 93,000 was a Band-Aid. It was always meant to be a Band-Aid because we didn't have $1 million. And we would still wait for the school board to come up.
If we do this Band-Aid again for 5 years, that's what I'm asking you, is this a community that then is just gonna let the courts go? Are we done with the courts after 5 years? Are we gonna invest and say, we wanna keep tennis courts here, we want 6 courts? I mean, when there's people playing pickleball on your courts along with your tennis, your courts are filled, they're being used, are you not going to offer that recreation that you've had? For...
I have a question. This you probably won't know an answer. But do you have an annual guess as to the numbers of unique users? Or, I mean, since we know kind of with Lakeview, do you have an idea how many people a year? And the second part of that question is how much of it's the school? I hate to keep circling it back around to it, but on some level I feel like we're subsidizing a bigger entity than us. And that's insane to me. I mean, it's not that I don't think
they're part of your community.
They're part of a greater community, but they're happy to pay us pennies on a big expenditure on our part.
But they also, other school districts have capital leases with cities for school tennis courts on city property.
I feel like that's the solution.
And that is what, and they keep saying, well, we can't do it because it's on city property, but it's doable, but the school is not coming to the table
They
to
have to have
offer
the will
that.
to do it.
And so when the schools doesn't offer it, the city has to say, what can we, as our tax base being, 28 million versus their tax base being 75 million, what can our tax base afford to invest in tennis? And to be honest, we would have to consider an entire recreation budget and say, we have to repair to just isolate tennis is not right.
No.
We need an entire recreation budget to say, these are our facilities we offer, how are we gonna fund repairing all of these? And our first step is to do the stormwater, which is why we were proceeding, is to figure out the stormwater problems at Lakeview, because that's the first step to figuring out how things are gonna cost to improve that facility.
Well, we have Phil Field too.
Excuse me?
We have Phil Field
I know.
too. Yeah. to Mount
But,
Whistler.
I mean, are they unplayable? I don't know. I'm asking.
well,
You
they quit playing that because somebody got hurt, and we can't, they keep saying the drainage keeps washing out the same areas where people are getting hurt. So once it becomes we're not negligent yet, once injuries start happening, we need to do something, so.
And, my concern is, I know you're not here as a representative of the school, but why, if it's, the school, obviously you have a good program, I don't think it goes without saying, as part of the school, and obviously the school appreciates having them there. Why isn't the school ever actually telling us, how can we work with you to repair these facilities? Shouldn't the school, some representative of the board or the administration or someone, athletic director, I don't know, be like, hey, we like to use the city's facilities. They're kind of degrading. What can we do? Why is it always on, I know it's on our property, but I feel like the school is the predominant user, and that's how you get people who want to play the sport. They played it in school, they played it when they were young, you played it when you were young, you want to play it now. That's the funnel for the use and for the activity. Where is the school?
I can't answer any of that.
I know, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot. You can't make them do anything.
Well, they've actually told
us
Austin no.
This has been this way the entire road. You go here, and it's just like a tennis match. It's a joke. I feel like a tennis ball.
Well, tennis takes two players.
You know what I mean?
Really, you're playing
And I
gonna
love to, but they're like, this is, we are paying rent, we are paying, the city.
Sure.
Yes, they built the 3 courts when they had the money to add to gave that to the city to, you know what I mean? Like, here, you can have 6 courts.
Were you the coach when this went to 6 courts?
No.
You were not a coach yet?
I was not. No, I came.
Were you
here
involved in
after.
that at all?
Nope.
Do you know how that happened? Was it just everybody was smiling one day and it just happened?
I think
how does
school
that
board
come into-
members' sons played,
Oh, okay.
were
Well,
avid
there you go.
players, and that's how
I'd like
it
to
came
get
about.
to that
matter.
again.
I mean, it's, you know what I mean, it's just.
It does
It's
matter.
all about property and what property it lands on and the, the city, the school, because they're paying for things that they have on their facility. They're looking at an FFA, huge, and.
Right, but they're not worried about parking. They're not worried about, they're happy to abdicate a lot of things to us. And I'm starting to have an increasing beef with that, with the school I feel like leaning on us a little bit to pick up the slack of things that they don't want to deal with. Oh, it's conveniently not on their property. Well, parking's not their problem, but it is their problem. And they just want to hand it off to us. And I don't want it to be confrontational, but if the school doesn't start finding a way to work better with us on finding solutions to these problems, then I don't know where that ends. It's not just tennis courts, it's a lot of things.
Right.
I'd love to work with the school on things, but the school needs to come to the table.
Maybe if somebody from this council speaks with somebody of this new superintendent, maybe something can start.
I hope that's true.
That's what I would love to see, but I think until somebody steps forward and says, I will go forward like I do, then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm just in the middle, I'm not.
Well, I'll be happy to see if CDBG is going to even come close to funding it, but again, our priority is going to be a fire station and streets and stormwater.
Then when can the tennis courts? It's got to, you're either going to say today that nope, we're going to let the tennis courts just die.
Well, we were going to resurface the North 3. That was our bid for it.
Yeah, but you're just putting a Band-Aid on.
I understand it. I
You know what I mean?
understand.
So
The
you're
problem
not-
is it's
you're
an
not making
affordable
it-
Band-Aid. I mean, and
It looks good from the road, that's all it, you know what I mean? It doesn't serve any purpose.
so you don't want us to do that?
I'm not sure, I'm not sure I would waste that money on that.
So you don't want us to do anything? Just let them go?
So, okay, let me,
I want you to tell me, when are you going to
So
put it
if
in
we
the
started-
budget?
if we
Can't win, when?
even if we,
no money there.
even if we
Like
budgeted
5
for
years
it,
from now.
Well, the CDBG, number one, I think our last year is 2023 unless the census confirms again that we qualify. So we don't even know, so we have to get the projects done that we have to get done before the new census numbers get kicked in. So, we can look it up in 2023 and even to see if it's even a possibility. And, even the recreation funds, you're talking about 2025. See, that's the problem. I don't know how we could talk to our constituents and say, we're going to take money from streets and put it in a tennis court. That's my biggest problem.
Wait.
We only have $1 million a year.
$5 million for a pool,
Well,
it's
it was
part of our
4.2.
community, it's part of our
It was 4.2.
recreation.
But the people voted for that. That's my thing, is that people voted for the sales tax for the swimming pool. And we do have the power, this council does have the power to use that funds for a tennis court. It's really their call. Or they have the power to use it for rec fields too.
we have the power to put a recreation fund on the ballot and say it's gonna go towards Lakeview tennis and this, and put it on the ballot. We have the power to do that as well.
Do you
and
want to
lay
put
it out.
another tax on them?
Whoa. I'm not saying I want to put it on them. I'm saying if you give people a choice, then they get to decide. Putting it on the ballot doesn't mean you want it. It means you want to see what people want.
But on the ballot.
just putting it out there.
No,
I'm
the
not
ballot would be putting an additional tax out there.
Right, if it passed.
If it passes.
But then at least they would be
Would it
voting
be,
for those
would it
things.
be property tax or sales tax?
Sales.
But the key thing is, you already have a tax that can be used for that purpose. I just want to put that out to you. The 0.6% sales tax on the ballot was a general purpose tax.
But we could also use it to give ourselves huge raises. But again, just because we can doesn't mean we should.
I understand
We can do
that.
a lot of things.
I understand that.
I'd love to just blow the money on any number of great projects. We could spend it on streets. Oh, we could do beautiful things, but I still don't think we should.
Okay, well,
I understand.
Well, again, as someone mentioned, the school has a much larger property base than we do.
Tax base.
Tax base than we do.
I'd say I'd love to find a way to put it in the budget and have a plan, even if it means Band-Aiding in the meantime, that in the intermediate, and this is the plan, but I want to know at the end of that what the involvement of the school is going to be like. But it's hard because they're going to turn over in between now and then, and we're going to turn over between now and then.
you don't want to put it in the budget if you can't fund it.
Right.
You don't want to have a long-term plan that we can't fund.
Right. That's
So-
why I'd want to know what that looked like.
If we were to tear it out and completely redo it, it'd have to be a 50-50 deal with the school. It'd be the only way I could ever see doing anything like that.
We did it before.
If they're doing,
It's obviously not
if you're
possible.
putting concrete and all that in, it'd have
Well, in 1996, did they rip up the north and south courts?
no.
Well, they went over
Just the
top
south?
of
The
those.
south courts, they overlaid the north ones,
They overlaid the north?
milled and overlaid.
Okay.
They put in new south ones and then
Right.
they
Overlaid the
redid,
north
then
ones.
Right,
Okay.
but whatever they put on the south, they put on the north. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
it's just
hot
that
mix.
the fill was what?
No, they didn't take the fill out in the north courts.
Right.
Yeah. They
There's
just
been
ground
more-
it down.
and like-
So the north
Because it
courts
was
are
bigger.
50 years old.
They're old,
Yeah.
and I don't know what's under. Yeah, they were there 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, I thought they were
I don't know
higher
if they
though.
were clay.
I thought they were
I have no
higher.
idea.
They put a
Layer?
They put an edge, a curb, so then they would fill them with water and you could ice skate on them.
And now you use the stuff for your clinics, and you use the courts for your clinics and stuff too, your private clinics. You teach tennis clinics and stuff, and you use the courts for that yourself, right? And how many kids do you have for that a year?
Then you from 60 to 100, depending on the year. A lot of youth play.
Yeah.
It's a lifetime sport.
Yes.
That's why you see older folks, a lot older than me down there, really going to town.
Right.
I mean, at this point, at this juncture, if the school is unwilling to do 50/50, there's no reason to put it in the long-term plan. And I guess you can have a new council that can change their mind, right?
Right.
The council that we have now feels like it has to be a 50/50 venture, is that right? You guys all
Is there any way
shake?
to meet with the school board?
We sorted that before with our ad hoc committee, but
I mean, but if you do it again and say like we would, be willing to,
Well, Austin had the last
and
conversation.
if there's grants and things that we could apply for.
I think it comes down a lot to administrative decisions. I mean, the school board obviously has the decision-making power, but the administration's still the captain of the ship. So, I mean, if you have an administration that wants it to be so, I think that at least the conversation can move forward.
And now
But
we
it's a
have,
new administration.
and now we have an intern,
Interim.
administrator now.
So I don't know if somebody would talk to the superintendent, that would help, the new interim.
Well, we could talk to him. We can just say,
Put in your budget.
Yeah, say, when do you foresee this happening?
Yeah.
Do you ever see this happening? I mean, I think they are trying to fund that FFA building, or ag building,
I
whatever.
know, I mean, the huge things that they're in their track and they're trying to repair
Yeah,
all of that.
so-
Well, Bulldog Boosters has helped with infrastructure. Do they have any input?
$500,000.
They can pour money on buses, they can pour money on things that actually affect the sports, but that's just my opinion.
Well, I'll be happy to go down and talk to them and just say, but at this juncture, I don't think we're in a place that we're going to rip out and put 6 new courts in. But I do think
If we do a Band-Aid, but maybe keep working to try and.
to
Can
open
we
the
get a
conversation.
Can we get a rec budget?
But if Mary doesn't feel like it's worth it, then why should we spend the money if Mary doesn't feel like it's gonna help that much?
If that's what if that's all you have to offer, then it's better than nothing, but at the same
Okay.
time, we're back in the same boat of, I mean, I don't know what you're gonna do with the south courts, they're gonna look really bad, really bad.
Yeah, but the South courts are major work.
I mean, are you gonna just, I mean, you're in, like I said, then you're gonna, I mean, you're gonna have people come and, because you're gonna have pickleball and tennis players who, 3 courts isn't gonna be enough.
Yeah,
That's
but that's a
happened,
temporary
and
place.
I just,
You have
in
to-
the history, I tried to show that the one that went down to 3 courts again, and it was a big rise, and I didn't bring everybody with me. I mean, I could have brought 70 people again, and every time I walk in the you know what I mean, then I can continue to do that, but it's,
Well, everything I hear in our community is they do not want our taxes to go up. And so we have to do what we can with the tax money we have at this point in time.
so.
Do you guys agree?
And so recreation is not a part of that?
We are between a
future?
rock and a hard place. We have to not only answer to you and your constituents and the people that want to play tennis, we have everybody in town. I hear it every day at my business. They hear it at work, they hear it at their businesses. Carla hears it when she goes out. We all hear about it, and it's not that we don't care. Don't get the idea that we don't care, all right? I used to play tennis a lot, and I enjoy it. But right now, what's going on with our budget, we've got some big line items that have to be done. No ifs, no ands, no buts, okay? And unfortunately, it's getting to the point, we don't want to crumble in this. We don't want to just run over there and put this fire out. We don't want to run over and put this fire out and not do it right, okay?
Yeah.
All right?
That's what I want.
What we're offering you, yeah, it's a Band-Aid, but at least it's something. We're not the school district saying, we don't want to bother with you. We're at least giving you, an offer here. Go do some fundraising. Talk to these people that you say, that they want these courts so bad. Go do something here. I mean, obviously, we're offering you something. You know where the door slammed on you on the other side. We gave you, an olive leaf here. Go talk to your business people you know. Go talk to these people. get to do what you can. That's the whole, it's not hopeless. We're gonna try to do what we can for you if you'll accept it in the good graces here. But I'm sorry it's not what you want. You know, I'd love to be able to say, oh yeah, hey, you know, I'd love to have all these new tennis courts, but right now we can't do this. We just can't.
But can we put a little bit away each year, and then in 5 or 10 years?
We have a budget meeting coming up, correct?
Yes, next week.
Next week.
And we can't sit here right now and say this. We can't say that. But we do have a budget meeting coming up, and we can discuss it. That's all we can do is have a discussion. That's it. We have the money numbers, and we can make a discussion of it. That's all we can do. That's correct?
What were you gonna say? Yes.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I was just saying, I know we had this one meeting already, and I don't have my book and I can't remember, but you guys had something set up about overland, the 3 courts.
That's what this proposal is. That's in the packet.
I wasn't even looking there. That's what it is. What if we use that to tell the school board, this is what, and we decided maybe this is gonna be a waste of money to do it, but we'd like to say, if you'd like to match that, they say we could put this off for a year or 2, and if we could each do that, and we could use it for a bargaining tool to see if they'd put the fund in, and maybe we'd have a little more money to take care of them in a year and a half, 2 years, if they'd get by without doing anything right now. Somebody usually rides a bicycle till they can afford to pay cash for a car. Maybe we could do that.
Well, I think we should use this as a bargaining chip as far as to say, we're gonna do this for the north courts. If you want anything done on the south courts, we really need assistance. And we can
Right.
use that as a bargaining tool. I hate not to do anything on the north courts because they're actually playable, and to not do anything.
Are we within a warranty? Is that why we're pushing?
Well, it says we have to repaint them within 5 years or we lose the warranty of the arm or all.
Okay. And so that's why we can't do what Terry was just saying by pushing them off.
So Mary, is it worth it to do the cracks? To fill the cracks?
On the north side?
I mean, they're gonna charge us $17 a linear foot. You said that the cracks that are there now have dead spots in them. Is it worth it
You
to?
can see the ball like
Huh? Oh, I know, I was down there.
Those-
Yeah. I was down there and visited with Mary about
On
it.
the other, Madam Mayor, on the other hand, it's kind of a hometown court if you learn to play on it. It's not working right. You're gonna beat these
You're at an
17.
advantage.
You use
You'll
that
look
a lot.
like that.
Unfortunately, we're not good enough to not hit the cracks or hit the cracks.
Oh. You haven't figured that one out?
But that, I mean, is it worth it to seal the cracks, Mary, you think? I mean,
If it's the only thing that you have to offer, but I feel at the same time, it's just, it looks good, but like I said, to play on it, it's
Oh, yeah.
so uneven.
yeah,
It's all
the foot
because of
drag
its
and all that,
base.
yeah.
You know, its base is over, its base is done.
Could we apply for these resurfacing grants too?
Right. The problem with
The-
resurfacing is the base is bad though.
Well, but if we're resurfacing to get by until we could show that, hey, we're resurfacing until we could get by to find but it's also, if you put in a deal, it says 50% of the total project.
Yeah, I think that's why I said the new grants, there could be a lot of money there for the USTA. And I can get more information.
Well, that one says $5,000 maximum right there. Category 2. 30,000 maximum. But yeah, we're not doing 6 courts, so it'd be 20,000 max.
New would be the 100,000.
100,000. Well, it'd be
But
50,000 on
It'd be
the court.
50,000, because you'd have 6 courts.
50,000 maximum.
And would there be any more grants, or is this was just quickly what you were able to find?
Yeah.
Not really
Uh-huh.
delving
Um,
really deep into it? I don't know, can you combine?
I mean, that
grants?
USDA would be so huge compared to, you know what I mean, that would be your biggest, I mean, that I know of. There's along with that community development block grant, but the community facilities direct loan and grant program, is that different then?
Well, CDBG, again, you can only have 2 outstanding at any given time. So our fire station is up first. And we have stormwater and hope possibly streets. I'm trying to figure out if we can do 11th, 12th, and Keystone with the CDBG grant. So, I mean, we have to figure out what our priorities are, and we have to apply for those grants first.
And you were saying that the people that you have talked to about possibly contributing and donating money want to see the city actually doing something and not, that they won't give you the money until after they see the city.
I don't know, though. You look, we raised $15,000 in shade structure on Pony Up Marysville, and we told them we were gonna do it. We didn't commit when. We're gonna wait till the stormwater's done, so we don't have to rip up concrete, but, you know, they came out for that. $15,000 in one day, I thought was a huge win for shade structures. So,
Well, could we possibly do something like that where we would match like we did for up there, if there's still that much interest? I don't know,
We could, but we
I'm
only-
throwing.
That's only once a year.
well, right now, we need to decide if we're gonna go with the resurfacing of the north courts or not. That's the main thing we have to decide tonight. We've put this off now. Our bid, our offer is valid for 60 days, so. It's not, I mean, to be honest, we can look, you're welcome to take that project on, Gina, to try to find grants for the south 3 courts, and we could go ahead and do the north courts. I mean, that's an option. But I feel like they're gonna if we want all 6 courts to continue to deteriorate and do nothing.
Well, we kind of have to obviously do the North 3 if it's within the warranty time period. Like, that's kind of a no-brainer, you have to.
I think, I mean, we have a rec committee. The rec committee can sit down and try to, but you know, the real problem is we don't have any estimates on the leveling of the fields, the lighting at Feld Field, the bathrooms at Feld Field. We had leveling, and what else were we gonna do at Lakeview? Well, foul ball protection,
Foul ball
obviously.
protection.
But we had 3 or 4 major things they wanted to do. I don't have a. Sidewalk. Put a sidewalk in, and extend the extension. Possibly put in a green space and put the parking up there. Anyway, I mean, the rec committee could sit down and say, make a 10-year plan, tell me how it's gonna be funded. But it's probably only gonna be funded by using the swimming pool sales tax. And just if you're gonna do anything major for the next 7 years. But that's a major discussion.
I mean, we could meet with the Park and Rec just to get an idea of what, I don't know. We did that with Lakeview.
Yeah, but we don't have any dollars amounts on those, and we haven't even started there. We haven't started the stormwater drainage, engineering or repairs, so. We're just in a tough place because trying to figure out how the projects that people want done and have the funding to do it. But let's go ahead and make a motion. Let's act on this. What we can do is the rec committee can sit down, try to find a long-term plan and come back to council and say where you're gonna fund it. That's what the most direction I can give them. I'll be happy to go talk to the interim administrator and, is it a he or she? She. And ask her, do you foresee any possibility of doing a joint venture with the city?
Her name is Denise, I don't know what her last name is.
So,
Denise.
And I doubt that she will want to
she commit because she just started July 1st, right?
She's out.
So, anyway, so I can tell you we can do that.
What's the expiration date from, let's see, we have 60 days from June 21st? What would that take us to August what?
Probably the 18th or something?
Yeah, right.
18th? About? Why? You don't want to do this?
No, I mean, we have the deadline
Yeah.
that we need to work with.
Well, that, we probably want to get him in here fairly soon too before school starts, and then they'll be tying up the tennis courts too.
That's true. Last time they came in
Usually they
June.
do- The best time to do is the end of the season in October, 15th. Then that's a great time to do them because then you get in there, I mean, that's your best time to do a court is then because you're not hitting on you're not hitting in the summer, you're not hitting in the fall or the spring tennis.
Last time they came in June and July, didn't they?
Yeah, it was really
But
bad. They came at the very end of July, and so we didn't start tennis until, we started it, but we played in
But they
Seneca
won't have to
and
do the extensive,
Hanover to practice.
well, number one, you'll have the 3 south courts. And the second part is that they won't have to do the extensive that they did. I mean, they had they had so much tape last time, and they're not gonna go that much. There's not that much repair work on the north courts. You don't want them done before tennis season?
If they can get here, but I can't imagine that they can get here, but if they can, yeah. But, like I said, the best time would be immediately after the season, so that it doesn't affect the season.
But I think it has to be hot to put that armor on, that repair crack stuff.
Yeah, you can ask them, because that was just the date that was given to me, if they were going to build the courts, that's when they would try to, it's the best time to build the tennis courts, they said. Yeah, they would know.
Okay. Well, we'll try to coordinate it with you. How about that? Once we sign this, if the council decides to go ahead, we'll find out what works for them. So is there a motion to accept this contract with Pro Track and Tennis?
I'll move to accept the contract.
For options 1, 2, and 3?
Yes, of all 3 of them.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, is there any further discussion?
Because option 2, we won't know till they're completed how many.
Yeah, till they come and look at it. But when we walked around, he didn't think there was, I can't remember that guy's name, was it Jeff? Anyway, he didn't think there was that much.
I say that I didn't see a whole lot when I was down there with you, but I mean, there are a few in there, so.
How much more does it cost to do the south courts with you?
Well, we weren't even gonna go this route, we were gonna mill and overland, which was about $150,000, right?
100. I thought we were looking at 100,000.
On the south?
To do it all, yeah, 150
Just the
probably.
south.
Let's say 150, yeah. Just so we're not underquoting. That wasn't just the south, that was to mill out the south courts and then,
1, 2, and 3.
actually,
Oh, you
did we
did.
mill the whole thing?
No, we were
No,
just.
just the south.
Mill the south, do an overlay on it, and then coat.
Line it all.
Coat,
Coat
line
it
it
all.
all, yeah, coat it all.
It was mill, and they were
So
gonna
it
put
would-
some fabric down for the cracks.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, we can offer that.
blacktop?
We can offer that to the high school, telling them, we're gonna fix.
Yeah, it's asphalt under there.
so it would,
Yeah.
so that would be what the court, and then you just paint on the asphalt?
Yeah, because that's currently what's underneath the paint right now, is asphalt.
But it's not smooth.
Yeah.
Well, we were gonna have to get them to slant the water off. Anyway. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
This is for the north 3 only.
Yeah, just the 3 coats. 3 courts north, yes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
6-2. Were the 2 noes, are you just gonna do nothing at this time? I just want to know why you voted no, so,
I don't know, if it's gonna be around a significant amount every 5 years, that's,
well, see, that's why they give us $19.35 a season.
$1,950 a season, $3,900 a year is what they give us.
$3,900 a year, times 5 was supposed to pay for 50% of us recoating the surface every year. That was a purposeful. And the monies that they give for the ball fields.
Yeah, that's what the rent is from the school.
and it's just to resurface the,
That was how we determined what they should pay as a rental fee, and they didn't have a rental fee before that. This was just to get something to help us offset the cost of these courts. And the monies that are given for the Fairfield Field and Lakeview, that goes directly to Marysville Sport and Rec. We get nothing. We pay all the, we provide the facility, we provide all the water and all the lighting, and the city donates that for all the school use as well as the rec use. So we are generous to the school district in facilities.
I think so.
So, we'll get 3 courts done. Do you guys want me to say something about the South Courts to her and say, we'd like you to participate? Maybe this mill and overlay of the South Court. At this time, we voted to do the north on the South Courts, $150,000. Would you consider participating in that and put it that way? Start there?
Better than nothing.
And instead of, and I can tell her that, it's to redo all the courts is about $500,000 for their,
That's half and half.
half and half.
Explain to her the history of how that it was split half and half originally.
Yeah.
Skip over all the interim history that's
Inner
not
drama.
so pleasant, but
When they were first set up, there was 50/50. That's the
Right.
thing we keep in mind.
They could start putting it in their budget every year.
Yeah, because it's a lot easier to come up with $500,000. I mean, not really, but than $1 million, so.
$500,000 is a lot of money.
Oh, I know, it still is, don't get me wrong, but it's still, it's more.
It's more viable than $1 million.
Yes,
Yeah.
by far.
It's probably more than $1 million now.
We appreciate the tennis program and all the people that play, and we appreciate you teaching them. And it's not that we don't care about tennis.
I do know that. We're just stacked. I do
just
know
have a
that.
lot
I
going
just-
on.
And I totally want that. I just want to see that in the future, that in 5 years from now, I'm not asking the same.
Well, we
You know what I
we
mean?
can dig into that CDBG and see if tennis courts is a possibility.
And just to find a way.
That's the
all I
biggest
want.
pot of
And I
money.
will help find that way, but I don't know, that's not my position to, but I want to just, so thank you.
Thanks, Mary. Okay, I don't know of any notices and hearings, do we?
Mayor, I do.
Okay,
The planning and zoning will not be held this Thursday, but will be held July 18th. And at that time, one of the items on the agenda will be a public hearing on the towers and antennas changing from 60 to a maximum of 30 feet.
okay. That we requested.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
All right, on the consent agenda, we have 2 items. Cindy was out of town, that's why we don't have a clerk's report. She said she'll have it in for next month. So we can approve the 2 items that are presented.
Move to approve consent agenda.
Is there a second? My only question is, Michelle put this thing about the space. I assume Helvering has given her okay. That's not our space.
I was
She
gone,
asked
they called me on the phone and said, what do I do?
She asked to have an extension behind the building, and I thought it was gonna be just for the alley, but it's
And-
actually the Helvering Center, that we don't have any authority over that.
We own
That's
that
our
parking lot. That's not
This
the Helvering.
Helvering is ours?
The parking lot
lot's
behind
ours.
Helvering
That's ours.
Center is ours.
We removed the snow there?
Oh, yes. When we sold them the building, we did not sell them the parking lot for some reason.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so I guess we do have, that's our lot. All right, and then the other thing, I did ask Cindy about the municipal judge, and she said they're working on that. So those are my only comments. Anybody have any comments on that consent agenda? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 8-0. All right, the appropriations ordinance.
Move to approve appropriation ordinance 3702 in the amount of $167,315.86.
Is there, okay. Is there any discussion?
I want to ask one question, Mayor.
Okay.
I noticed 2 things in there because I didn't come in to see Cindy. The one I kind of wondered why our police department needs a spot and scope. Are we sniping on people? Or why did we have to buy a sniper scope?
We just pay the bill, we don't approve it.
Sniper scope.
Yeah. That don't sound like something that's a defensive thing. That's an offensive thing.
Do you know,
You're
Austin?
trying to take somebody out, you don't need to have a spotting scope.
They may be using it when they're observing a certain house or activity somebody's doing.
Well, I just want
Is that what it's
people to
for?
know that the police department need to have a spotting scope.
We've had times where people are held hostage inside houses, and it's, you set up people to watch the house, so that's one of the instances. We had one a couple years ago over Christmas where it was a hostage situation. Yeah.
Okay, then one other thing I wonder, because I know everybody's got a camera, but how come we needed all them walkie-talkies from Walmart?
Okay, that's used at the swimming pool, and the person at the bottom of the slide and the person at the top of the slide can't see each other, but they have to tell them so that the kids don't run over each other. And we had one set, and then they broke, and so she took them back to get a different set.
That's all I want to know.
Yeah,
the pool?
they just, yeah,
Okay.
for the pool, they can't see from the top of the slide to the bottom.
Good question.
Mayor, I might point out that one of the vendors was Big Blue Concrete, and for $22,756.27, that's paying for 2/3 of the concrete alley. That would be the alley behind Community Federal Credit Union.
Sunflower Community, they have a new title.
Sunflower Community Credit Union.
Yeah, I noticed they moved those gas lines. We can do the other half now.
They haven't moved the gas lines.
Yeah, they're done.
They're done?
They're done.
Oh, they didn't tell us about it, but.
I drove by there and I said, the gas lines are gone.
Yeah, they
And the
did it on a Saturday.
And the big pile of dirt's gone. It looks
Yep.
good.
So then that means they can continue on with their work.
Okay. Anything else on the appropriations ordinance? Roll call?
Boss,
Yes.
Kibia,
Yes.
Graham,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
Fry,
Yes.
Schroller,
Yes.
Fromm,
Yes.
Barnes.
Yes.
8-0.
First item on my report is a small cell ordinance. After speaking with Craig, asking if we should still pass an ordinance even though there's a deadline that was passed, He still recommends, and I hate to speak while he's right here.
I'll correct you.
Yeah.
You missed it.
Recommended we still pass an ordinance, still working on matching up our ordinance with the strictest regulations we can implement, as well as fees associated with the ordinance.
Will it be enforceable?
Well, I mean, I would think at least part, if not all of it. I mean, I think it's worth doing. I don't know, I don't believe that the fees for installation and that kind of thing is necessarily a deadline was put. We're talking about aesthetic standards.
Aesthetics, yeah.
Did you read that on the Manhattan website?
What?
When I pulled up their ordinance, I saw where they had said that it had to be done by,
That's what the FCC ruling issued, was a deadline on aesthetic standards, is my understanding and interpretation. What I think we're talking about is much broader than just aesthetic standards. Maybe I'm not understanding correctly. Because at this point, as I understand, the city's not charging any fees for these units or these types of small cell.
because we can't, we don't have an ordinance yet.
Right. And so, at the very least, it's worth creating something along those lines and enforcing that.
But going back to the size of the boxes and stuff, though, that would be aesthetic. Now we don't have any limitation.
Well, that's unclear to me. I guess I don't have a 100% answer to you if it's enforceable or unenforceable. I'm not aware of it being challenged. I just went to a continuing education that was talking about it in present terms and discussing it in a way that, some cities probably don't have these in place. Here's some examples for you to look at. Leads me to believe that there are a lot of places still putting these in, especially smaller towns. So I don't have an answer, and I understand that we don't want to waste time for something that we can't enforce. But
Well, I think we need to get it done then.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
Next meeting. All right?
Anything else on that? No questions?
No?
All right, next one up, CES presented a few options for the brick design next to the trail. Their architect thought to present these maybe to make the trail stand out a little bit more at 7th and Broadway, kind of matching the brickwork that's in the wheels themselves with the red and the yellow bricks, whatever color you consider those to be, and just putting in a border to make the crosswalk a little pop out a little more. And they presented a few options. One was without any yellow brick, but with a border of red brick. The next option was to have a slim border of yellow brick right next to the concrete trail. Number 3 would be to stack the red and the yellow the opposite way that the street brick is going to make that stand out. And then number 4 would be to just make the yellow brick the opposite direction, all the red brick to go north and south. And then number 5 would be to make the red brick go east and west, and a line of yellow brick go north and south with the rest of the red brick. So I wanted to get your thoughts on this.
I like 5.
5?
I like 3. I like 3.
I like 4.
I like 5.
Because I went down and looked at it, because it looked like it needed to have some differentiation.
I think the differentiation's good. I don't want to be difficult, but somewhere between 4 and 5 is kind of ideal. Like if you put a single row red, a single row, they say yellow, but I don't think they really look
They're
yellow.
really brown.
Like golden.
Yeah.
I went and looked at them, and I said yellow,
Yellow
but they're
seems
brown,
like, that
they're
makes it
real.
sound like the yellow brick road.
But you know, that your standard sidewalk crossing on the highways, pretty wide, so you wouldn't want just a little narrow strip, you'd want a wider strip to. And
Yeah, that's why I thought this one, we just wanted it close to where the people will
Yeah,
be walking.
3 or 4, yeah.
That's why I chose 4.
Yeah, 4.
Well, we should vote.
I move for option 5.
I second it.
Hey, Ben, somebody had to make a motion.
Yeah.
I make a motion, we do 3.
No, you
Motion
can't.
on the table.
Okay, we're gonna vote on 5. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
There's 3. All opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
So that's 5. So give me another motion.
3, I like 3.
I think 4 looks better because you want it pretty close to
That
the,
narrow little strip.
I'm okay with 3 or 4. Go ahead and make a motion.
I made a motion for number 3.
Oh, you did? Well, you did.
You did it before
No.
the other motion.
Yeah.
You can make it now. Would you
Okay,
like to make that
I make a
now?
motion for number 3.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that one.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, mercy. Okay,
I make a motion for option 4.
okay.
The middle
I don't
ground.
exactly
Is there a
saying yes
second?
and yes.
Oh, wait, you don't have the yeses and the nos? Oh, you have it on the
I know.
machine.
Yeah, I can try.
Okay, so now we have a motion number 4. Was there a second?
Madam Mayor,
Yes,
can I ask
Kevin
a
was a
question
second.
before
Yeah.
you do that again?
Yeah.
Because we're just gonna keep doing this all night.
No, we're gonna
We all got
finish.
plenty of time, but, that yellow strip
Brown,
will
yeah.
cause labor every time you want to look pretty for something. If you stick with the design with the bricks and make it all red, the yellow's not going to cause a city employee to have to go clean the yellow brick because it don't match, don't clean up.
I don't
like
think
the
we have to clean the brown ones, though. We're not cleaning the brown
Well,
ones.
no, if they all look the same, it'll be fine, but if the yellow ones get to looking like the red ones, you're gonna have people out there cleaning them.
But right now, in the wheel section, we don't clean a specific color. You know, the
Okay.
wheel circle. I mean, I went and looked at it. Did you go look at it, the color of the brick down there?
Yeah, I did.
You did? And they're light brown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the yellow messed me up. But
I think maybe that somebody will be down there worrying about them being clean if we're gonna have a party or something down there.
I think it's just
pray
gonna be
not.
contrast.
I think it's a contrast to see the sidewalks.
Okay,
Because remember,
fine.
we're having a slope.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Did we get a second on
Yes,
number 4?
Todd and Kevin.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Oh, 7-1, we got it. Praise the Lord. Okay,
Option 4.
4. All right, we got that done. Go ahead.
All right, next one up, I did talk with Tony Deaver about rip-wrapping the portion of 11th Road by, what's it?
Jenny's
Shell. Jenny Shell. And if that would help with
Erosion control.
erosion control, yes. And he felt somewhat confident that it would help. It would, and he gave me kind of a design, kind of compared the project to somewhat of what's in front of CJ's out there as far as rip-wrapping. And, he felt it would help with erosion. But like anything, with the water flowing over it, carry dirt, regardless of what you put under, let's say we lined underneath the rock to keep things from growing through, dirt would build up on top of the rocks and potentially get seeds in there and weeds could come up. So that problem would still be existing, but if the property owner would spray that, it would.
I kind of got the impression from the property owners that they didn't feel like they should have to spray it if it was riprap. If that makes sense,
You
like,
can run a slurry mix down through it to kind of help hold it too.
that's true too.
Jenny doesn't want to do anything with it.
Like, because we caused the issue, she
Yes.
feels like the city
That's right.
should be,
We made the ditch
Spraying
deeper
it.
so that she
Yep.
could not mow it and take care of it. And so I think that if it's gonna help with the erosion, it's gonna have less weeds, and then whenever we need to spray weeds, we
Well,
spray weeds.
and right now, I mean, I was there this morning, I think it could be mowed a little tighter than it is. I don't think you'd have to rip-rap to the road. There's probably one mower strip next to the road. I mean, maybe a little bit of that's rock that's kind of, just could be bladed back down a little bit, but I think it could be mowed tighter. It wouldn't take as much rip-rap as it looks like at first blush. But no, I get the impression that, I mean, I don't know how often it'd have to be sprayed as to keep it down, but if it was something that the city could spray once when a blue moon or
season.
whatever.
You would potentially bring up the possibility of somebody else going, well, you did this to my property, well, now you have to.
Do we spray in any other riprap areas, right-of-ways, anywhere in the city? That
Yes.
is not adjoining our property.
Oh,
It's on,
That's the question.
we do on
Not
our
adjoining our
property. A lot of the.
a lot of it's in the levee system.
Levee system is what we take care of, yeah, we do spray there, yes. We
But
don't
we
spray any
created
person,
this.
we don't spray property, right?
We've created this with that culvert. I think we should do it. Add it to our list.
I make a motion, we do this property, we spray it.
After
We take care of it.
After it's riprapped?
We put the riprap and
Yes.
take care
Does
of
it
it.
need require engineering to riprap it? Can we get away without that?
He kinda just, I mean, he gave me a general design.
That's-
Yeah, I
I
just
could see
didn't know
that
how
costing
much.
as much as the riprapping.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So you said riprap and us to take care of it, Diane?
Yes.
Was there a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion?
What do we tell other property owners?
That if we create the
If
problem,
we dig a big hole in their front
We-
yard that they can't mow, then we'll fix the hole or take care of the hole.
well, we have to be,
Consistent.
Consistent.
if we hadn't created it, we'd say it's their problem. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 8-0, all right.
All right, after the June distribution of ad valorem and vehicle taxes, general fund is at over $1 million and had lower expenditures than June of 2018. Water and sewer funds both had relatively high expenditures. This was due to the purchase of a pickup truck that was split between the two funds. And then sales tax fund is still increasing and has gone over $1 million, but will go back down once we pay that C-CLIP check, which we're waiting till the last moment so we can gain as much interest off the money as possible.
The 557?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. All right. Moving along. No one saying anything? Standing committees? Street, my only question is, grass in the streets. I see grass growing in the streets. Should we be, should the city go by on their little gator or whatever and spray the weeds that are in the street?
If you want to risk the fallout from the spray into other people's yards.
Didn't they used to burn those?
What?
Didn't they drive around and burn the grass?
Like a grass burner?
Yeah.
They
thought
have,
they-
Where
I
they
thought
chip
they-
and seal.
they do when they chip.
Where they
and
chip
seal.
and seal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there's all these places that grass is poking up on all the streets. Isn't that our responsibility?
Usually the street sweeper takes care of it as we get to it, but with all the rain, it shoots right back up. Yeah, it's a
spray it.
challenge. Yeah,
I know, but not very many people spray it.
yeah.
So,
I mean, just like
Can we
went.
burn it out?
What?
Like you talking about, can we burn it out?
No, we don't. We barely have time enough to burn out the routes for the chip and seal.
Can we weed eat it?
The same problem comes with, because we weed eat and we burn the chip and seal routes.
Like
That's
oil
why
trucks
grass-
and teams.
Kill those weeds.
Right, yeah. Spraying will probably be the most efficient, but it also efficiently kills people's yards.
Well, if you keep it just in this street and not on curb and gutter maybe, but we have grass growing in the street.
Down the storm sewers.
Oh, and there's that runoff to the storm sewer.
Well, we're not gonna spray that much.
You'd be surprised what it takes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Especially where it doesn't adhere to the plant, it adheres to the brick.
all right. Anybody else have street?
Yeah, I do. I know we had our big meeting with all the people out east up there. And we never did, Hall Brothers, they ever come back with a price on what?
They gave us an estimate of $900,000. And so, the commissioners don't want to discuss it till January. And
No, I'm just curious.
they want us to talk to the township board. And so there's a couple of steps we can make between here and January.
No, I'm just curious what kind of figure he come back with us on.
Yeah.
So that's for 11th Road?
That's for all three complete roads.
And what they did, what they were.
That's down to the south road on.
All of
Yes.
Keystone.
Yeah.
All the way
No,
to
not all of
12th Road all the way to Timber Creek.
It's all,
12th
all,
Road, yes.
all of 12th Road, Keystone from
Okay.
11th Road to 11th Terrace.
It's, no, I thought it was all of it.
And it's not
Are you
11
sure?
Terrace
Yeah,
South at all?
1.5 if it was all of it. Because I told him, yeah, no, he said that 900 was just till 11th Terrace.
So
what's already
11th Terrace South to, what is that,
On 12th Road.
Timber Creek? What is that street?
Timber
now?
Dawson Drive.
Dawson? That wouldn't be included?
Mm.
So there would still be city paved roads island off from the rest of the pavement?
So all
But they'd be a
12th Road,
lot
you said to
better.
Timber Creek.
All of 12th Road to Timber Creek.
Significant improvement.
All of 11th Road from the highway down, or
Right.
from the improvement down.
Right.
And then Keystone to 11th Terrace.
See, I'm trying to look up the CDBG and see how much the maximum funding they have on that road and see if we can get
And
that
the-
kicked in for the next cycle.
That was
If we
them
qualify.
digging down 12 inches of base and replacing it with cement, not replacing it with cement, but including cement into the
Into the aggregate
base.
Right.
For 8 inches.
Stabilization for the 12 inches.
The first 8, and then the 4-inch overlay.
No, they go down 12 inches into the base and
Right.
then add 4 onto asphalt
How
on top of
wide?
that 12. The 26 or whatever it is.
And how long, what's the guarantee?
They didn't.
There isn't.
But you have to, Todd, you said that's a Band-Aid, and I have to say, 11th Road North has been down for 14 years. And, true, it's almost due for a 2-inch overlay, but
It's pretty
still,
wide.
that, you don't think those people would be happy with that road? Come on.
Yeah, if it's
Yeah, I
that
know, I
much
just-
cheaper. to do
It's
the-
1/3 the price,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's quite a bit of a
A
savings.
difference, yeah. And
To use that
if you
money
figure,
elsewhere.
that's right, and if you can have that done for the next, for us to find again, going to the conversation with Mary, trying to find 2.7 million versus 900,000,
Right.
there's a big difference.
And that's all of Keystone from 11th to 12th?
No,
No,
11th to 11th Road to 11th Terrace.
But it is 12th Road all the way to
Timber Creek?
the
Tim-
drive
yeah,
into
Timber
Keystone.
The South Drive?
Yes,
South
South Drive,
Timber Creek.
yes.
Would it be concreting the section to Hometown? Because I don't think that's ever gonna hold up with just asphalt, at the minimum. There's too much turning traffic and heavy trucks coming and going out of here.
Yeah, but you look at the heavy trucks that go on Okita Road. Somebody's going on Okita Road all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
but-
Herkimer Road, Bremen Road, they're all,
Yep.
that's
Yeah.
not concrete, none of those are concrete.
And the nice part, if it goes back, you can always go by and fix the edges if you have to.
Well, the key thing is that, we'll have to put a 2-inch overlay sometime
Down the road.
down
yeah.
the road, but, to get them a street in there, they've been waiting 17 years. I don't think they're gonna wait for another
And, you
17 for
can
us to
always-
find 2.7
We can always go
million.
and cut a patch out and repair a patch. It's not saying we can't work on it, as we have time here and there, so.
So now my goal is trying to find out where we can find 900,000.
And then there's that.
But, I think CDBG is gonna be limited to 600,000.
Mm-hmm.
But even that, because it's for our size of community, but we'd have to qualify for it, for streets,
Right.
and let them give us that money. So,
What about the crack on 11th Road? Did you find out anything?
They're gonna, the crack is too small to do anything with. The part that's falling apart, we're gonna replace. Yeah, there's a chunk that was floating off, yes.
There is?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're taking care of the chunk that we can. The crack sealing wouldn't do anything with it.
so when are they gonna chip seal?
They're working on the routes right now, and so after we get all the trees and stuff taken care of, they're sealing at like now. They got part of Route 2 done, they're almost done with Route 1, so they got another 1.5 routes to do.
But they started pulling up that brick at Walnut?
Yes, in their
They have enough people to do all that?
Well, it just, when they don't have enough people to do other things, they go to the brick.
Okay.
Yeah, it's keeping a busy
As long-
rotation.
Yeah, as long as they don't miss our chip and seal cycle.
Right.
Anything else for stream? All right, water sewer. You put in the highlights, 54 meters weren't read. Is that a large number or a small number?
That's a pretty large number. That's, the biggest thing is that we've got Neptune meters out there and they don't pick up on our other antennas.
So those are the ones we have to go get or
Yeah,
look
or
at
for some reason their antenna will not read, that there's.
till we swap out. Well, now, when we swap out, they're gonna have to manually read all the other ones,
There's a way
right?
with new software that
They'll read
they'll read
both?
both antennas.
Oh, okay.
That's what they're supposed to.
And the CIPP, you said they're taking away some of that?
Just one length of, we're still about 12,000 feet of pipe that we're going to line. There was just the one section where it's attached to the flush tank. That was the only problem they found. If we had to repair anything, that's what we needed to repair. All the other 12,000 feet were lineable. We don't have to dig up anything this year, which is awesome. Cool.
So we can move that to another thing and it's not in the middle of another line?
Yeah, we will, when the flush tank gets replaced, we can probably include that repair in that process too.
Next year, but it's not, how we have it all laid out. It's not, it makes sense to leave it for another year.
Yeah, it'll work. Yep, we can make it work.
Anybody else have water, sewer? Parks, Rec? Cemetery?
Have we had any comments of where the mosquitoes?
Hey, I asked somebody about it, and they said they walk at City Park, and they said they could tell a difference right away.
Nice.
And I said, it's only supposed to kill 85% the first 21 days, so it was gonna get better. But anyway, I heard, that's the only comment I heard, but it was somebody who walks City Park. All right, cemetery and airport, police and fire.
Yes.
Oh, I need to say something about police and fire, yes.
I don't want to live every week of my time being here on the council with my name next to Jill Fredericks with a penalty pending, and police and fire hasn't had their committee meeting and decided how they're gonna handle this barbed wire yet. This has gotta be addressed.
It needs to be discussed, I
My
agree.
name was slandered in the council by a councilman here, and I'm not gonna live with this kind of thing when I wasn't guilty of doing anything.
Okay, well, we will make that meeting happen before the next meeting, okay?
As long as it's done before the next meeting, that'll be fine.
Okay, you'll make that happen, Cindy?
Yep.
Okay, so police and fire did meet. Police and fire did meet today. We looked at the 5 locations. These are just the bullet points from our discussion. We decided that the fire station on 20th Street was in fact the best based on the information Austin gave us. 20th Street, it'll be facing east, it may be angled, may not be. Parking for volunteers behind the building or to the north. We agreed there needed to be a traffic light. The benefit was there is access at the stoplight at 20th Street on the highway. At 1700 Center, the 2 tracks were $264,000. KDOT, because of the access management plan, we can't have an entrance off center there, so all the fire trucks would have to access 17th Street. There's no lot, we thought we might be able to get KDOT access management funding for the stoplight at 17th and Center, but we'd have to add that. We talked a little bit about the stormwater drains to the south, but again, you have a $264,000 price tag. We're not sure we could get KDOT funding for the stoplight there. So we did, and then their next one, 1301 Broadway, they didn't give us a price. Probably not for sale. There's a southeast portion of it that is not accessible to be using for the fire station. There was a lot size, there was a building there that we could possibly use, but again, since they really don't seem like they're anxious to sell. 605 Broadway, there were 3 different size lots. That was a price tag, $490,000. It was more space than we needed. We thought we really wanted to keep commercial property on Broadway rather than taking that down. We thought we could talk about possibly tearing down Main Street office and have the bays facing north, possible use for the buildings, but again, the price tag was a big thing. And at 1040 Pony Express, that was the Walcott property, their price was $600,000. It was definitely larger than we needed. So based on that criteria, the committee really decided that the 20th Street was our best location. You guys have any questions about that? And disagree with anything that we came up with? Austin pulled all that information together and we talked about it for about 2.5 hours.
Yes.
We talked about it pretty thoroughly and looked at all the locations there. I do have the maps in case you guys want to see them. And I know you guys won't be able to see this, but Dave did show us about, he had proposed, and this will be discussed, but a little angle here for part of the fire station. Can you guys see that? For the 2 smaller trucks. That's not a definite, but that's what he had initially proposed, that he'll probably present to BG, and then we'll take it from there. So.
9 trucks.
He has 7 bays, yeah, and 2 small trucks. And the reason he did that was he thought, get it farther away from Veld Field and to reduce the amount of concrete needed here.
Anesthetics.
And aesthetics.
I know the concrete works good for geothermal heat though.
Yeah, and it's kind of wasted space between there and Felt Field if it's not if it is canted
Right
out,
there.
isn't it? I mean, what are they gonna do with that?
Yeah. I told him, to me, it seems like if you will never be able to add on to this too, like in case we would ever need another truck space or something. By making angle, you could, yeah. So.
But B&G will probably have their
Well, we
own
said they've done
design,
26
yeah.
fire stations.
They'll have it.
So
This
they
was
might-
just his idea.
Yeah. But it was a starting point and gave us dimensions to consider for these other properties. So are you guys okay with, I guess we need to vote on this. You guys have questions about what we just discussed? Do you want to go ahead and vote to put it on 20th Street?
Move that with the committee's recommendation that with fire station be placed on 20th Street.
I second it.
Is there any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 8-0, all right, 20th Street it is.
And then with this whole thing, there will be BG wants to hold a kickoff meeting with basically how I would see it, and you guys can tell me differently. Police and Fire Committee, Fire Chief, and 1 or 2 firefighters that they will select out of their group to attend this, as well as
help plan the design.
Yeah, help plan the design, help find out what the needs are.
What's that for, Austin?
For the fire station.
I see.
Yeah.
The next step.
The next step. So that will be happening. That's the next step that BG has requested, so we can keep it rolling right along.
So we can get that money. All right. Anything else, police and fire? Admin and finance? I didn't notice how many trees were dead. There are quite a few dead trees. Did they get back to us on how many?
No, there's like 4 or 5 trees that need to be replaced, and
I would say there's probably more than that.
I'd say at least 5. Yeah, at least 5.
Did they say why they died?
No, James Gudenkauf had a theory, which he had notified the company before he planted them, that the root ball was too small. But he planted them anyways, just to see if they would come out. So that was one of his theories. So he said he notified the company in the first place, so he was going to talk with them to get them replaced.
Okay, and he is watering them now, right? Watering
I saw him
season?
down there watering them.
Okay.
One of the days, Saturday?
He
Okay.
did some mulching and
Early in the morning.
As long as he's out there watering them to keep them alive.
I've seen him.
With his
You know,
tank
bright-
truck.
yeah, bright and early in the
But
morning down there.
then,
so-
when he plants the new ones, are we just gonna have a year warranty on them then, or are we gonna have a 2-year warranty on the new ones?
It would, well, he only gave us a year warranty.
But the warranty would restart.
Yeah, I
We
think
only had a year warranty? I
Yeah.
thought we had a 2-year warranty.
2-year was the other company. I believe.
Yeah, a lot of them look okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's either definitely dead or they look
There's
okay.
a couple of them that are kind of the top of them. Yeah,
Or
it's
okay.
like the top died, like
It's the
part of
top.
the part of the roots didn't
Yeah.
take or something. I'm not an arborist, but.
Okay. All right, anything else for finance and admin? Appointments, Bobby Price said she would serve on the Kester House Advisory Board. So I would entertain a motion to accept that appointment.
Move to approve Bobby Price on the
Kester Block Advisory Board. Yeah. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 8-0. City Attorney, you have anything else?
I don't.
Do you have any reason for an executive session? All right. Round table, Landell event was great. I thought our fireworks were excellent. I hope you guys went up there. I mean, they lit up the sky. I was impressed. Did you like them? I know they're up at your house. I do want to say I love that Greg Boss and the veterans supported William Shuttleworth when he came through, walking across America to honor veterans and disabled vets. It was very nice that they took that upon, and Vets Don't Forget Vets, that was his website. The road rally was amazing at the Union Pacific Depot on the 4th of July. Had never done it, and I would encourage it. You will love it. They did a great job, so thank you, Todd and Rachel and everybody that was involved with that. And the credit union was very nice, the opening on Friday night, and so the facility is beautiful. With that being said, now it's Darlene's turn.
Well, talking about fireworks, I did hear from a couple in my ward that they would like to see the time shortened that fireworks are shot in the city.
You mean at night?
I was gonna say the hours or the days?
The days. Now, I
Avery Young
know
wants
up
to.
in my neighborhood, it sounded like M80s or something being shot up until 12 o'clock, like July 4th.
There were some loud ones on our display, but my husband was all out in that. I was like, great. So
I thought it was, I mean, not that I love the noise, but I thought it seemed like there was more litter, like fireworks litter this year than I've seen in past years. I don't know if that was my imagination or not, but I
And
don't know if there's anything
one
you can do
thing
about
that
that.
was mentioned was how it affects the animals, and I know my
Oh, it does. They
dogs
hide.
are-
anything else?
No.
Bobby?
Actually, I had a suggestion from someone when the 4th of July falls on like a Friday, Saturday, we need to go ahead and extend the hours instead of like 10 o'clock.
The 4th of July, you can go till midnight.
Midnight, okay,
Yes.
but they want it like, if it's on a
The
Friday,
weekend.
Saturday, they all would like to see it extended just for that time. Not like if it's on like a Monday, Tuesday, people got to get up and stuff, but it's like if it lands on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
It only gets dark at like 9:30, 9:45, so it's
Yeah, I
like a
know.
really tight window of
Yeah.
darkness.
Well,
Okay,
we'll have to talk about that next year.
that's right.
I think we have plenty
I
of
think we
time.
got one extend, one short, and
Yeah.
leave it alone.
I think we got plenty of time for fireworks.
Is that it, Bobby?
Yep.
Gina?
There were lots of great activities. The 4th of July walk. We did the walk. That was fun on the trail. And the activities up at the airport hangar were, it was
Amazing.
great. Yeah, the kids had a wonderful time. And the fireworks on the 5th or the 6th.
Yeah.
They were really good.
They were impressive.
They did a really good job.
Anything else? Terry?
Well, I think one thing that nobody's mentioned, and that was whoever, or the outfit that promoted bringing in those singers.
Oh, the 4x4?
They were
great.
They were talented, they were fabulous.
Yeah,
They
really
must have
enjoyed
spent
it.
some bucks on them.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you, MCAC and Landell Corporation. Anything else?
No, that's,
There were a lot, like everybody else, there were a lot of great events, I think, around the 4th, and people outside of Marysville are like, wow, Marysville really seems to be taking off with 4th-related activities. I mean, since we don't have a county fair here in town, or
that's true.
we have the barbecue, we have Mother's Day market, and this is kind of
The next
becoming
big thing?
another
Yep.
big thing.
That's nice.
And I mean, it's on the radio in Nemaha County and, up in Jefferson County, Nebraska, and I hear about it at work in Nemaha County that they're like, wow, Marysville must really get into it. And it's kind of cool to be known as the place for something
Yeah.
like that. So
That's right.
I think we just keep building on it.
That's right.
Good.
All good. Diane?
And the good thing, it was all free, except I think you had to pay $1 for a piece of pie, and I think some people had ate their pie for nothing. So we had ice cream, we had pie, the only thing you had to pay for was the beer and the wine, and so, I mean, I think it was awesome. I don't know
I
what
know.
else you could ask for.
I know, it was a great event. We're gonna have to hope and pray they continue it.
Yes, I think so too.
I
So
have
thank you.
nothing. You guys covered most of it.
Jason?
Nope.
Moved up.
So moved.
Is there a second?
You could find something to do.
All in favor,
You're
say
in
aye.
trouble, that's all I can say.
Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?